and Loki, who's apparently here. We are, of course, your bearded brothers, back again with yet another sports podcast. My name is Matt.
Hi.
That is my bearded brother, Chris. Yes, we are really related. And we are absolutely here to enjoy talking about sports in a podcast that we're not sure anybody's going to listen to. But that's neither here nor there. We're just doing this to have fun. So we hope that you guys can have some fun with us. I think we're going to start this one with probably the best news for Minnesota fans, which is we might have another championship coming to Minnesota.
Well, maybe.
Maybe. It's a better chance than I've seen in a while.
It's a bit early to call it, but it is. They're playing pretty well.
And that would be your Minnesota Timberwolves finally looked like they got fangs. They swept their first round opponent. Currently, they're up 2-0 on the current champion, the defending champion, Denver Nuggets. Their first game was 106-99, a lot closer of a game than it started because the Wolves went on a run to start that game, and then Denver roared back. But that second game, 106 to, what did I say, 88?
Something like that, yeah.
The Wolves blew them out by like 20 points. They play again Friday, and if the Wolves do win, then they've got either Denver or Oklahoma City. That is the next opponent for them. Which I honestly think either of those matchups are easier than the Nuggets. So if they do well and they beat out the Nuggets, I mean, we could be looking at a trip to the finals for the first time in franchise history, which would be nice. I would be okay with that. I would be highly okay with that.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Bird, really? Yes, I need, bud.
So that's the good news for Minnesota fans. Over the Eastern Conference, I believe they are down to the Knicks and Pacers and the Celtics and the Cavaliers. If I had to put money on a team coming out of there, it's honestly the Celtics. Although the Knicks are playing pretty good. I'm not gonna take anything away from them. Did he bite you?
Yeah, not really that hard, but he nipped me.
And he knows better.
Just because you're not getting attention doesn't mean you can nip me.
So, I think that's going to be an interesting little thing there. It's going to be fun to watch. Now, moving over to the world of hockey. As is the tradition every time at this point in time in the year, the Leafs have crumbled. The Toronto Maple Leafs went 7 games with the Boston Bruins and lost Game 7 in overtime. The bad part is they led in Game 7 for all of maybe 2 minutes, if that, before having it tied up again at 1-0. It was not good. It was not good. The teams that are left over in the East, we have Florida and Boston are facing each other right now, and Boston is currently up 1-0 there, beating Florida like 4-1. And then we've got Carolina and the Rangers, the Hurricanes and the Rangers. The Rangers currently lead that series after last night 2-0 after winning 4-3 in double overtime. Which, holy crap, they literally got halfway through the second overtime before somebody finally put that game away. So that was like it was literally a game and a half of hockey they played. And it was Vincent Trocheck that put it away to extend his scoring streak in the playoffs to 5 games. Or 6 games now, pardon. It's pretty ridiculous. And out west, we have Edmonton and Vancouver, McDavid and the Oilers versus Pettersson and the Canucks. We're going to see how that goes because I don't know if Demko is back yet. He got hurt in the first round, and if Demko isn't back for the Canucks, that could be problematic going up against Nugent Hopkins, Hyman, McDavid, Draisaitl. That's a high-powered offense. And then you have Colorado and Dallas. And Colorado won last night 4-3 in overtime to lead that series 1-0. After Dallas took the Stars, the Knights. Dallas is the Stars. Dallas took the Golden Knights to 7 games. Also involving hockey, the NHL Draft Lottery was last night. Nobody moved.
Fair enough.
So, Minnesota has the 13th overall pick in the draft this year. The number 1 overall pick? The San Jose Sharks. So, we are pretty sure we know who they're going to pick already. It should be Macklin Celebrini from Wisconsin. University of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, we're all pretty sure it's going to be him. He's been at the top of the board for a while. One of the more interesting prospects on the board, in my opinion, is a legacy prospect, and seeing if he's going to fall to his father's team, which I think would be interesting. Because the legacy prospect is Tija Ginla. If you don't recognize the last name of Ginla, you're not a hockey fan. His dad was Jerome Ginla. Played for the Calgary Flames. Was a beast of a player. Never won a cup. Should have won a cup. It's a real damn shame he never did. But Calgary has the 9th overall pick, I believe, in the draft. So it's possible that Tage will be there when they pick, and it's going to be really hard for them to say, we don't want the son of one of the greatest players in the history of our franchise. At any rate, that's the other interesting part. Frankly, I think Edmonton could win it all this year, the way they're playing. And I would not have said that to start the season. Could also be the Rangers' year. They're playing incredibly well, and Igor Shesterkin is standing on his head in the playoffs right now. So, going to be an interesting time.
Fair.
Anything you got to say about any of it?
Not really, no.
Didn't think so. Umpire troubles still plague the MLB.
Yep.
I believe the MLB itself has come out and said that they're going to be working on the uniform issues.
Of course.
Yeah. Outside of that, I think we should just get into the reason we're all here today. Because we didn't do it last week, so we're here to do it this week.
What?
What? Let's review the 2024 NFL Draft.
What?
What? That's right. We're going to go and look at the teams, every team, and all the players they picked, and then give them a letter grade between A+ and F. There is no plus or minuses on the Fs, it's just F. There's also INC, which is incomplete, but nobody got that this year. So,
I mean, not that we're aware of.
Not that we're aware of yet. Chris has not graded his picks and is going to do this stream of consciousness.
Well, sort of. I have an idea of what every team's going to get because I've already done my research into the picks, more or less. I already have an idea of kind of where I'm roughly going to land them. It's just going to be gut check between 2 to 3 grades kind of thing. Like in the moment, this is how I'm feeling right now.
Mm-hmm. I feel you. So we're gonna do this alphabetically. So it's Arizona, Atlanta, etc.
Yes.
I'll start, and then Chris will do his. Chris will give his grade after I'm done, and the next Chris will read Atlanta's stuff and then give his grade, and then I'll give a grade. So we're gonna alternate reading the teams and their draft picks. We're each gonna give our thoughts about whatever picks we want to give thoughts about, because some of us have deep cuts on some of these. Um, so starting with the Cardinals, they drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., a wide receiver from Ohio State, Darius
Mm.
Robinson, an edge from Missouri, Max Melton, cornerback from Rutgers, Trey Benson, running back from Florida State.
I love it. I love that pick.
Oh, me too.
I love Trey Benson so much.
I am
It's such
so,
a good pick to get him in round 3 for the
that was
Cardinals, who
amazing. The fact
who
that he
don't even
slid.
need a running back. They don't even need him.
No, they don't. They've got a good running back
Like
in
they already
Connor,
got Connor. Yeah, Connor is
but
great.
Connor's more
Like
of a power back, and Benson is way more of a
my
slippery
god,
back. That's a
that's
great
true. But
thunder and
like
lightning
that's
duo.
gonna be a crazy back duo. Yeah.
Oh my God. Isaiah Adams, offensive guard, Illinois. Tip Ryman, tight end, Illinois. Elijah Jones, cornerback, Boston College. Dadrian Taylor Demison, safety, Texas Tech. Xavier Thomas, edge, Clemson. Christian Jones, offensive tackle, Texas. Tejuan Palmer, wide receiver, UAB. And Jaden Davis, defensive back. I give this draft an A. They absolutely crushed it. Not an A plus. They did well. I feel like there's a few places where they kind of mailed it in, but I mean they found players they absolutely needed, and for me, their sleeper pick, people are gonna sleep on, is Tejuan Palmer from UAB. That dude is big, and he's actually a lot faster than what you would think. He reminds me a bit of a different UAB product from years past named Roddy White. Dude is just big, and he's got big hands and a wide catch radius. I think he's going to be somebody to keep an eye on in the future. I don't know that he's going to be huge right out the gate, but give him a couple of years, and that could be a dude we're talking about. Especially alongside Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh, it's going to be filthy. The rest of it, I really enjoy. Like, as we were saying, Trey Benson, round 3, that's great. Max Melton out of Rutgers, that's a solid cornerback pick. I had him mocked as a round 2 guy. He's a good, solid cornerback. Their draft was overall fairly solid. I am really happy to see them get some good stuff out of this.
Yeah,
Your
that's fair.
thoughts?
That's fair. I typically tend to agree here. I overall did also grade them at an A. It's kind of hard not to give them an A when your first 4 picks are literally just covering your exact needs to a T. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver, check. Darius Robinson, edge, check. Max Melton, cornerback, check. Trey Benson, running back, check. Like, you didn't even need the running back. That's just a little added extra bonus of deliciousness. Like,
It's like the whipped cream on top.
exactly. And then, let's not even forget, Elijah Jones is actually a pretty good corner to be picking up in round 3, at the end of round 3, mind you. Like,
Mind you, yes.
that's pretty good. Xavier Thomas edge, not a bad pick. Christian Jones at round 5 as an offensive tackle, I think is actually a pretty good pickup. Not gonna lie to you. Like, I, I just think they just went out, got what they could. They mostly got the best pick they could for the need that they needed at the picks that they got. Put it that way. So they got good value for the picks, and I think pretty good players that will. I don't know if all of them will turn out 100%, but most of them look like they're going to be pretty decent. And I'd be surprised if at least half of these don't work out pretty good for them.
I agree with everything you said, as I already mentioned. All right, your turn. Talk to us about Atlanta.
So let's talk about Atlanta Falcons. They made choices. And some people will like these choices, and some people will very much not like these choices. So let's talk about them. Round 1, pick 8. Atlanta picked Michael Penix Jr., QB out of Washington. That was an interesting choice. And one I do want to get into. Do you want to talk about it now or later?
We can talk about it now if you want, because I was not happy with that pick.
So I'm not. I don't hate the pick. I don't love the pick. I think this is not a great pick at this point, at this time, but I can understand why the decision was made. So after listening to everything that happened around the Saints situation with Patrick Mahomes and how the GM handled that situation. So apparently the GM for Atlanta is the same GM that was the GM for the Saints during or no, he was on the Saints. I don't think he was the GM for the Saints. I think he was with the Saints on the staff. Was he one of the staffers? Which one was he? And then he became the GM for Atlanta. Regardless, apparently Sean Payton and the team for the Saints during the drafting of Patrick Mahomes wanted to get Patrick Mahomes. It was apparently a well-known fact that the Saints were actually interested in getting Patrick Mahomes. And apparently, due to that fact, the current GM of Atlanta actually, apparently the rumor is, at least according to everything that we've heard, is that they actually were always very interested in Michael Penix Jr., but they kept their cards so close to their chest because they didn't want to reveal the same thing that happened with the Saints, where the Saints ended up getting jumped by the Chiefs to get Patrick Mahomes because they knew that the Saints were going to pick him if they didn't jump him. And so Atlanta was worried about not getting their guy that they already wanted. They didn't think he was apparently going to drop here, and so they snagged him because they saw him as the future star. I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea. I just don't see what they see. And so I think it's a bad pick because of that.
See, and I think it's a bad pick because if you think that, why the fuck did you go out and sign Kirk Cousins to $100 million over what, 3 years, 4 years?
Because they didn't think apparently they were going to get Penix.
Doesn't
they didn't
matter.
think they would even. so that's why they wanted to guarantee that they had a QB for sure.
Not to get Penix by signing. Kirk.
Yes.
Then when he falls to you, you don't take him anyway because you plan not to get him, so you can.
No. Now they have the opportunity to take him.
No, dumb. Because your opportunity should have been used to make your defense better. Instead, what you did was piss off the quarterback that you paid $100 million to and upset him. You've got a guy that's going to be 27 if he has to sit his entire time, and will have 1 year left, and you'll have to figure out if you want to pick up his fifth-year option.
It sounds like
Kirk is done. Now,
that's also going to
depend whether or not you're able to trade Kirk after a year or two, which
it
sounds like that's what they're going to do.
It sounds like what they'll do is they basically have guaranteed money on him for the first 2 years, and some guaranteed money on him on the third year. So it sounds like what they're going to do for sure is Kirk is going to play for the first 2 years for sure. They'll maybe try to, unless there's an injury, barring an injury, of course. And then they'll try to unload him on the third year if they can. If they can't, they'll let him play potentially his third year and then drop him after that because there's no guaranteed money on his fourth. They don't need him after that. And so then Penix would come in at around year 3 or 4, basically.
Yeah. And I can see that. I still don't like it.
I don't agree with it either, but I can understand the idea is that if you think that you're going to get the future guy of the organization for 15 years or whatever, 10, 15 years, I can understand making that play. And that's obviously what he thinks this guy is. That's the thing. I don't see that. They do.
I like Penix. So I'll be honest. I like Penix. And I think he'll be a lot better, and we might see more from him if he has a chance to sit and a chance to develop at a decent pace. Like, maybe he gets rid of the happy feet and he starts reading things a little better, which I think has been a problem for him a lot of places. But what I saw is he can make basically all the throws. Yeah. It's just sometimes he gets dumb because he gets happy feet.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see, because like I said, overall, that's why they made the choice they did, is that they thought he was the future superstar, basically. So it's a weird choice. And then round 2, they picked up Rook Arrohoro. I'm sorry, dude. Your name was hard to say.
You know what? Somebody
Uh,
made the joke. You missed it. I'm gonna cut in here real quick. Somebody made the joke on the broadcast when I was watching it
mm,
about the mystery machine because of Penix Jr. in the first round. You didn't know what was going on,
oh, yep.
and then they said, and then they had to go out and get roll, 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 roll.
Ruka, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Defensive tackle from Clemson. Um, at least they finally filled kind of a need they had. So hey, fair enough. Uh, then in round 3 they got Braylon Trice, edge, Washington. I actually don't mind that pick. I think that's actually a pretty good pick. Round 4 they picked Braden Dorless, a defensive end from Oregon. Not a horrible pick. I'm okay with that. Round 5 then they also picked up J.D. Bertrand, linebacker out of Notre Dame. Eh, eh. I'm not high on that one, but not a horrible pick. In round 6, they picked Jace McKellen, running back out of Alabama. I got issues with running back Alabama running backs, but that's just me. That's just me. Round 6, they also managed to pick up Casey Washington, running back out of Illinois. And then also in round 6, they managed to pick up Zion Logue out of Georgia, defensive lineman.
I had Washington as a
Overall,
receiver.
yeah, that's what I said. Casey Washington,
Oh, I
wide
thought you
receiver
said running
out
back.
of Illinois. No, Jace McClellan was running back.
Yeah. Sorry. I may not be hearing right.
Oh, I mean, I might have misspoke too. It's possible. I thought I said wide receiver, but maybe I said running back.
Doesn't really matter. The point is, I get what you're saying.
Yep.
So, what do you think overall?
So I think they made some interesting choices. I think they overpicked on some people. I think they did fill some needs. I think they also got picks that they didn't need. Like they didn't need Jace McClellan, running back from Alabama. They didn't need another running back, nor did they need an Alabama running back. Casey Washington, wide receiver out of Illinois. Did they really need another wide receiver? Maybe. You could argue it. Casey Washington, man, I got nothing to say about the guy because I haven't watched enough tape to really say if he's going to be anything other than a depth chart guy. Not to be mean, but that's just unfortunate because I haven't watched enough of his tape. Not, I'm being honest. I just haven't watched enough tape to be
No,
able
I
to say if
understand.
it's more than that. So they got a couple of picks that I do like. I do like Ruka Rohuro. I just think round 2, pick 35. I mean, it's okay. It's okay value. I think Braylon Trice was a great pick. I think Brendan Dorlors was a good pick. JT Bertrand was okay. You know what? I'll give it a C plus. I mean, there's so many. It's almost whiplash. I'm getting whiplash with these guys. They make some good picks
You're
and they make
being
some
nicer
really
than I
weird
am.
picks. But you see what I'm saying though? They made some really good picks and then they made some really what the hell picks.
Yeah, you look though. You're being nicer than me. I give it a D.
Wow. Okay.
I absolutely hate the pick. I get what they're doing. I still
Yeah.
don't like it with Penix Jr.
Okay.
The problem I have with Rook Orahoro
Yeah.
is that Johnny Newton was still on the board when you picked him.
That's true. That
And
is
that
true.
was
I
just
did, but the thing is, I did hear people. I heard this guy is being touted towards
I did
the
too.
beginning
I
of the
heard
draft
him.
as
He
being a
was one of
potential.
the. He was like a
Yeah.
third. If I'd had 3
Yeah.
on my list or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm not.
So I'm not really
pissy,
shocked,
but Johnny
but it's
Newton,
definitely like a little weird.
Yeah, Newton I think would have been. If you'd grabbed Newton here, your grade. My grade probably would have gone up to a C instead of a D. Like I don't
fair.
hate Rook, and as I actually said, I don't hate him. And again, I too like Braylon Trice. Braylon Trice was a very good pick. Dorless, another really solid pick. Bertrand is a bit on the raw side,
Yeah.
but there's something there. And
Exactly.
Casey Washington, maybe he develops into a slot. That's what I
Okay.
see for him. I see him as a good slot receiver. I don't think he'll ever be more than that. He is never going to be a number 2. He's going to be a slot guy at best.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I just overall I feel like you swung and missed. Like again, I almost feel like Penix Jr. was the same thing that the running back was last year, which was just shock value for shock value. You're
Almost,
ascribing.
yeah.
It feels like you're ascribing to a wrestling thing rather than a freaking football thing.
Wrestling promo, go.
Well, it feels like you're doing shock just to shock people, like it's a twist for twist's sake. You didn't need to do that.
Apparently, they felt they needed to for some reason. They felt the need to, apparently, but
hey,
I don't
the
know.
Baltimore Ravens. So, they grabbed Nate Wiggins. Unlike you, I didn't actually do what round they were picked in.
Oh, gotcha.
And what pick they were overall. I just know what they picked, and in the order they picked them. So, Nate Wiggins, a cornerback out of Clemson. Roger Rosengarten, offensive tackle, Washington. Adisa Isaac, edge, Penn State. Tez Walker, wide receiver, North Carolina. TJ Tampa, cornerback, Iowa State. Rasheen Ali, running back, Marshall. Devin Leary, quarterback, Kentucky. Nick Samak, center, Michigan State. And Sanusi Kane, safety. I don't have a college on that last one. I don't think
Purdue.
I think they are.
Purdue.
Is it Purdue?
It's Purdue.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I have for the Ravens. Overall grade, A. I mean, wow. You did a great draft for the Ravens. You got with the second best corner in the draft fell to you. Now Isaac, I like Isaac too. Adisa Isaac. Whereas Chop Robinson had all the measurables and the potentials and the intangibles, Adisa Isaac had all the production. Chop didn't have a lot of that production last year, but Adisa Isaac had all of it. I don't know if it's because Chop garnered the lion's share of attention and Isaac feasted or what. Either way, that's a great pick. Tez Walker probably would have gone in the first round if he'd been able to play a whole season for North Carolina. Wasn't able to. That's a hell of a draft pick for where you got him. There's no reason TJ Tampa should have fallen as far as he did as a cornerback. I mean, this overall solid draft turned in by the Ravens. Absolutely love it. They just restocked and reloaded and they're ready to go again. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. The fact that they let the Ravens and the Eagles and teams like that just get away with shit like this every year pisses me off.
So, I do like their draft. I don't love their draft, and I'll get into that in a second. So, my grade actually is going to sit at a B+. And I'm going to explain myself here.
No, that's fair.
I'll explain myself here. So, most of their picks are pretty good. But once you get past round 4, pick 130, which is TJ Tampa.
Yeah.
Nothing else after that is any. Yeah. I'm not gonna be not to be mean, but there's something you can get value at round 5, 6, and 7, and I don't think they got value at 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
See that.
So those picks are questionable, especially the Rasheen Ali and Devin Leary picks. Like those were real fucking weird picks, guys.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that was problematic for me. And to be honest, I didn't have that high of a grade on Roger Rosengarten either, which is also the only reason they're dropped from out of the A tier into the B+. That's the only reason.
That's another one I looked at and I went, what are you doing? Okay. Yeah. But I mean, at that point, there'd been a huge run on tackles, and I don't know.
There was.
I don't know who else was left when they grabbed. That's the only thing.
Yeah. And so it's just it was teetering to being an A-, but I think just that pick just by itself, like if you swap Roger and Isaac, this would be an A-, I think, in my opinion. It's really just that simple. If they would have swapped those picks, I'd be like, yeah, that's good value, A-. But the value is just a little swappily wobbly for me, so I'm going with B+.
Fair enough. Go for Buffalo.
Buffalo Bills. What did the Buffalo Bills do in the 2024 NFL Draft? I'll tell you what they did. Round 1, they traded out.
I still can't believe that shit.
Dude, the video of Tom Grossi with the fans, like each fan reaction to the draft, and it finally gets to the Bills, and it's the Bills trading out, and the fans are just going, "Why the fuck did I stay up for this?" And to be fair, I would be pissed if I was a Bills fan too.
I would
I
too.
would. I'd
I
be
would
like, "Are
be
you
so
fucking
mad.
serious?" And the thing is, there was still good value there. They didn't need to trade out yet. There was still good value there. Ugh. Regardless, we'll talk about it. So, Bills, round 2, pick 33, they get Keon Coleman, wide receiver out of Florida State. So, they at least do get a good wide receiver still.
By the way, did you watch the interview, his introductionary interview?
Keon Coleman? No, I did not.
Oh my God. Okay, pause. We're gonna talk about that real quick. I want to raise my grade just for the comedy value of his thing alone. He shows up wearing a big yellow poofy jacket, and somebody says like, they go, "Hey Keon, I see you got a jacket." He goes, "Nah, man, you forget I was a couple of years at Michigan? Oh man, I had this. But guess where I got it though? You're gonna be wrong, but guess. No, you gotta guess." And the guy goes, "Tommy Hilfiger." He goes, "Nah, man, Macy's. They got them on a rack, all different colors, like $79.89. I'll take you there when we're done, because I got to go get another couple myself. I got to get a blue one and a red one. You get the trench for like $100. So you got to shop in the summertime, though, like a couple seasons ahead, so you can get them on sale. That's when they cheap. I shop like my mama does."
I was about to say, the minute that I was hearing him talk, I was like, oh, he shops like his mom does.
The best part is that he goes, they asked him, they said, "So you play golf?" "Oh, yeah, I like playing golf, but I ain't no Tiger Woods. I'm Tiger, wish he could." He said something about, like, playing the guitar, and he doesn't really know how to play guitar, but he likes to pick the strings, and just...
So he's an interesting fellow.
He's very, like, unfiltered, just says whatever is on his mind, stream of consciousness. He was even like, "Are we done? Hey, man. Hey, thanks for bringing... Can I get some of the cookies, man?" And he walked over to the cookie thing, and he just goes, "Hey, does anybody know if these are any good? Oh, they're really good, huh? Here, you have one with me then."
Are you sure that he just wasn't high on
I don't
set?
think he was. He's from nowhere, middle of nowhere, swampland, Louisiana.
Yeah, okay,
And
fair enough.
that makes all the sense in the world.
So he's just the nice
just a country
small
boy.
town country boy,
Yeah,
nice
and all
home boy.
He kind of
Country hometown boy,
got that.
you know?
So I can't really do it, but he's got that Louisiana.
That's like
Southern
twang,
kinda,
yeah.
that twang, like, "Oh no, bro, like you won't be wrong, but like, yeah, no, man, like, oh, you gotta shop Macy's, man. Here, I'll take you there. It all gonna be good." And the Bills Mafia showed up for him, so I want to talk about that real quick, that you can get on with this. Apparently, there's an after-school program there, to try to keep kids out of, streets and stuff like that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
provide them with some stuff. It's a program that he himself went through when he had a working mother, and the Bills Mafia has raised over $2,000 for that program already. Just random donations from people in Buffalo. When they found out that it was what Keon Coleman championed, they were like, "Okay, here, take money." Anyway, continuing.
All right. So, let's go on to the next pick that they had, which also happened to be in round 2. At pick 60, they get Cole Bishop, safety out of Utah. Then in round 3, they get pick 95, Dwayne Carter, defensive tackle out of Duke. I actually do like that pick quite a bit. Round 4, pick 128, they get Ray Davis, running back out of Kentucky. It's an okay pick. I don't love it, don't hate it. It's okay. Then in round 5, pick 141, they get Cedric Van Pran Granger, center out of Georgia, and I think that's actually a really good pick at round 5.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's an excellent round 5 pick. I'm shocked that he was still there at round 5, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah.
That's great. Then also in round 5, pick 160, they get Adafon Alafoshio. Sorry if I butchered that.
Edafon Ulofoshio?
There you go. Linebacker out of Washington.
I was hoping you were going
Dude,
to say that
that name's
name.
hard, man. That name's hard to say. Then also in round 5, man, they had a lot of round 5 picks.
They did.
At pick 168, they had Javon Solomon, edge out of Troy, and I actually do like that pick.
I like that pick too.
I actually surprised. Like, it's one of the few edge picks was later down that I noticed, and I saw some of his play and went,
Yeah, okay.
"Oh, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
He's actually pretty good. There's something there." Then in round 6, pick 204, they got Tylen Grable, offensive tackle out of UCF. Not bad. It's okay. At round 6, pick 219, they got Daquan Hardy, cornerback out of Penn State. Round 7, they got pick 221, and they got Travis Clayton, guard out of England.
By the way, that might just be a ridiculously good value pick.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard that a lot of people were confused at first, but I saw some
Like, he did a lot
reviews on it and who were like, it's actually...
Yeah. So he didn't grow up playing football. He grew up playing rugby, is my understanding.
Yes.
And he, like, if you see some of his rugby plays, you go, oh, Jesus. The dude is massive.
Rugby's, he's massive. Rugby's pretty physical.
On his stuff for, like, blocking for offensive tackle and whatnot.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, if he can refine that at all and get it all figured out, that could be a dude we're talking about, like an anchor guy for an offensive line.
Yep. So overall, I am actually fairly pleased with the Bills. I think the Cole Bishop one isn't my favorite pick. He wasn't a highly touted safety on my board, but at the same time, they did need safety. Cole Bishop isn't a bad safety. It's fine. It's fine. It's a fine pick. But I do really like the Keon Coleman pick. Dwayne Carter, great pick. Ray Davis is okay, but Cedric Van Pran Granger is great. Javon Solomon's great. And I do actually like you were saying, Travis Clayton, I think, is an interesting, fun pick, if nothing else. So I think I'm going to grade him at about, I'll say an A-. Cole Bishop is just enough for me to be like, that's a little questionable. And then they had, Tylen Gramble and Daquan Hardy, who I'm like, But anyways.
I had them lower, but based on the fact that Keon Coleman is entertaining, I'm going to move them up to a B. And the reason I give them a B rather than like an A- or an A or anything, first off, trading out of the first round is dumb. Second off, you didn't just trade out of the first round. You gave your pick to your perennial playoff rival to allow them to grab the fastest wide receiver in the draft. What the fuck are you thinking?
They did do that.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of this is actually pretty good. I'm really interested to see what becomes of Travis Clayton. Keon Coleman, I think, is better than people. Again, I had him way high up on my list of wide receivers because I think he's better than people think he is, especially after watching some of his stuff at the Combine. There's a difference between flat-out speed, which Xavier Worthy has, and if you watch him run the across-the-field route where they have to turn and grab all the balls as they're running across, some players who are fast on the 40 slow down doing that, and they're not as fast. He is dead sprinting across the field when he does that because he is 100% sure of his hands. His tracking ability, his ability for his hands to be in the right place, he knows where to be and how to bring the ball in. He is not worried about that part of his game at all. He has supreme confidence in his catching ability. And I think that is going to make a huge difference in Buffalo. Again, Cole Bishop, I didn't see what apparently the Bills saw. Carter, love Carter. That's a great defensive tackle pick for them. Ray Davis, that's a pretty good running back pick. I can understand that. Van Pran, oh my God, you guys got Van Pran that late? That's criminal. And Solomon, I think he's going to develop into something. So, yeah, I'll give you a B.
Fair enough.
Moving on to Carolina.
Oh boy.
The Panthers. The bottom of the first round, because they traded back into it they traded up one pick, and they got Xavier Leggett, wide receiver, South Carolina. They got Jonathan Brooks, running back out of Texas. Trevin Wallace, a linebacker out of Kentucky. Jatavian Sanders, a tight end out of Texas. Is it? I'm not sure if it's Chow Wade Smith or Chow Smith Wade.
Chow Smith Wade.
Chow Smith Wade, cornerback out of Washington State. And Drayden Crumedy, defensive tackle out of Mississippi State, and Michael Barrett, linebacker out of Michigan. Um, don't get it twisted. I kind of like Leggett, but I feel like you could have done better work there. Apparently, you guys really liked him. He only really had one amazing season, and that's when you guys got what's his name to come in there and play quarterback for y'all. He looked good. Outside of that, he hasn't had a really great career, even at South Carolina. Jonathan Brooks, though, love that pick for you guys. Love that pick. You guys kind of needed a running back, and Brooks should fill that role. Trevin Wallace out of Kentucky, that's not horrible. Jatavian Sanders is a pick I really like for them. That's going to bring a good, solid tight end to them. He's going to be able to catch, provide yet another target. And Chow Smith Wade, that's a pretty decent cornerback out of Washington State. I mean, they're obviously trying to build around Bryce Young.
Yeah.
They're giving him some more weapons, which was what the first Leggett, Brooks, and Sanders were all. Let's give him some stuff to work with. Because I'm not super impressed with Leggett, I'll give you guys a B minus because you did overall decent work, especially with Brooks. You didn't need to trade up, and I think that's where I'm dinging you a little bit. You probably could have stayed right where you were at. I think the Bills knew exactly who they wanted, and they fleeced you a little bit on that.
Yeah, it's possible. I actually like Xavier Legate. I think he's actually, I think he developed very, very well. I think he took big strides in that last season. Um, I think he's got incredible hands and good speed, and he's got good cuts. He's got good movement. I think he's honestly underrated, heavily underrated in my opinion. I think he's closer to a Keon Coleman than you want to admit that he is. Because that's what I see him as. Basically, I see him almost as a 1-to-1 as Keon Coleman. Like he almost looks like the same player in my opinion. Like just in the way that they both can, the way that they both, and just in the way that they both have almost magnetic hands. Like they just seem to catch anything that gets thrown in their direction, kind of thing. They're not like super speedy, but they have good, really good hands. Jonathan Brooks, it's a good pick, but not my favorite pick at this spot because, as we both know, as where you talked about it already, I like Benson more, and Benson was available here, and they didn't go for Benson; they went for Brooks, and so that's a little upsetting. So that's gonna ding them a little bit just because of my own view on that.
Yeah, but as we said, it's either going to be Brooks or Benson was going to be the first running back.
No, yeah, I'm just going based on but because I think Benson's better, it means that I do have to ding them for, in my opinion, slightly reaching on Brooks over Benson, basically. It's not like a massive ding, but it's still a ding nonetheless. Trevin Wallace, I think, is a good linebacker out of Kentucky. I think that's totally fine. Jatavon Sanders, totally fine tight end. Nothing amazing, but nothing bad at all. Pretty good tight end. Good hands. Good. Another good. I should specify. He's a good catching tight end. Like I think that'll be fine. Shaw Smith Wade, yeah, cornerback. Duh. Clear up some of that defensive issues. I mean, to be blunt with you, I think the Panthers did what they needed to do, which is they got the best that they could, mostly with the picks that they got. They cleared it. They got some more stuff for Bryce Young to throw to. I would have liked to see them maybe give him some more offensive line, personally. I'm not a huge fan of their offensive line, but apparently they think it's fine since they didn't get any offensive linemen in the draft. God, I think I'm gonna go with a B minus. I think they did okay, but I just think that they could have done better, and I think that they probably should have invested in a little bit more into the
O-line.
line to protect Young,
I agree.
because I feel like he took a lot of hits last year already, and yeah, giving him more weapons is going to help, but if he doesn't have the time to throw, it ain't going to matter.
I agree with you. All right. Talk to us
So let's
about
talk about the Chicago Bears.
Chicago.
And I think the Chicago Bears, to be completely blunt with you, did pretty goddamn well. So let's talk about it. Uh, round one, pick one. Geez, what a surprise! They picked Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. Everyone kept being like, but maybe. No, it was gonna be Caleb Williams. Everyone knew it was gonna be Caleb Williams. Anyone who was suggesting it wasn't gonna be Caleb Williams, by the time we got within a month of the draft, is a little outside of their gourd. Um, I think there was definitely rumors for a while where there was chances that Caleb didn't want to go to Chicago, but I think must have relented on that because I did hear about that rumor. But obviously, that must not an issue anymore. I don't know if it's money. I don't know if there was. I don't know if that's because Chicago was able to talk to him and convince him to stay because they were going to build around him because that's exactly what they did do. Um, regardless, good pick. And then also in round one with pick 9, they got a wide receiver to help out Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, a wide receiver out of Washington. I absolutely love this pick. Funnily enough, it is the wide receiver that I happened to give the Chicago Bears in our mock draft, which I found absolutely hysterical that I got both of those right. That not only did they get Caleb Williams, but they could then, with pick 9, without trading, get Roma Dunze, who I think is an excellent wide receiver to pair up with Caleb. They have obviously a great wide receiver room now. They have I would say a pretty good running back room at this point. Like, we're looking pretty good at this point. So let's go on. They round 3 pick 75 because they didn't have a pick in round 2. They got Kieran. Oh God, I'm sorry. Amiga Dajai? That's gotta be close, right?
Amiga G?
Amiga G might be offensive tackle out of Yale. So there you go. Now they're trying to shore up some of that offensive line, which is honestly not even that bad. I think the Bears' offensive line is actually not that bad, and this is just another thing to help kind of shore up and go, okay, we don't need to play him right away, but he's going to be on our roster. He's going to help out fill, in case of injuries, and maybe eventually become a starter, right? Round 4, pick 122, they got Troy Taylor, punter out of Iowa. Nothing to say about that one. Round 5, pick 144, they got Austin Booker, edge out of Kansas, which I've heard it might be actually an underrated pick, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
So overall, like, that's it. That's all their picks. Like, they only had what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. They had 5 picks. But man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they nailed like 4 out of 5 picks at least. And it's hard not to be like, yeah, the Bears are going to be a threat. Now, whether it's this year or next year, I don't know for sure. We'll see how the jitters work out with Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze and all that. But I'm giving this an A. I think this is a pretty damn good draft.
I will give this draft an A for the Bears. You went out, you got the quarterback of the future for your franchise. You got a wide receiver that can grow with him. You do have 2 great wide receivers with Moore and Allen that's there now, but Allen's not exactly the youngest fish in the sea any longer. So grabbing a Dunze makes sense. I didn't like it when you did it, but I get it and I understand it and it makes sense. I don't know much about the tackle out of Yale, but apparently he was pretty decently rated. Tory Taylor though was the best punter rated in the draft. So they got a field flipper. That's exactly what they wanted, and I have heard that Booker might be a little bit underrated for where people wanted him. I think he could turn out to be something special for them.
Oh.
So yeah, I think they nailed this. And you know what, Bears? It is now. You've got all the talent. You've got all the pieces. Eberflus, if you stumble out
Dude,
of the
this is
gates,
your last
you're
year, I swear to God.
toast.
This is his last year. If you can't make it work
If
now.
you can't make it work with this, you're toast. You're going to be toast like 4 games in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Should we talk about Cincinnati?
I think you should talk about Cincinnati.
Let's talk about Cincinnati. I'll talk about Cincinnati. The Bengals. The Bengals' first round pick was Amarius Mims, a giant of a human being, out offensive tackle out of Georgia. Then they grabbed Chris Jenkins, a defensive tackle out of Michigan. They grabbed Jermaine Burton, a wide receiver out of Alabama. They grabbed McKinley Jackson, a DT from Texas A&M. They grabbed Eric All, who they hope can be all that, tight end out of Iowa. You see what I did there?
You do realize this? You forgot to put the junior at the end. He isn't Eric All. He's Eric All Jr.
So is he all the juniors?
Only the juniors, though.
Only the juniors. Okay.
Yeah. Eric All Jr.
Josh Newton, cornerback out of TCU. Tanner McLaughlin, a tight end out of Arizona. Cedric Johnson, an edge out of Mississippi. Dijon Anthony, safety out of Mississippi. And Matt Lee, center out of Miami. Why does that one sound like somebody that should come from frickin' BYU? If you know, you know. So, I like Amarius Mims because that was a great choice. You got to protect Joe Cool. I think he's more than capable of protecting Joe. That's a pretty decent pick there. Eric All Jr. I actually think that's an underrated tight end. I think he's going to be really good for them. I think it's going to be fun to watch. But overall, I'm just like, it's a B. There's nothing horrible, but there's also nothing outstanding. There's nothing that jumps off the board at me and goes, superstar! I think my favorite line is what I said. It's like they drafted while they were bored. So it's not bad. It's just kind of there. You know? So it's a solid draft, but just not like a spectacular draft. Good, but not great.
So there are a couple things I like about this draft, and there's a couple things I don't like about this draft. So let's talk about the good things. Amarius Mims, great, great offensive tackle, not a problem. Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle out of Michigan, great, no problems. I like that pick. It's a good pick. All right, then let's scroll down. Scroll down a little bit more. All right, let's keep scrolling. And then we get to Eric All Jr. and I go, okay. And then I scroll some more. Then I go to round 5 and go to Josh Newton and go, okay, that's actually a pretty good pick at round 5. You know, I'm actually a little shocked that he's there at round 5 because he was touted as being one of the top 5, 6 cornerbacks specifically. So I'm a little shocked that he was at round 5, but good pick. And then I scroll and go, oh, that's it. And then I get sad. Because, like, Jermaine Burton, I did not have a high grade on whatsoever. I don't know what they were thinking here. McKinley Jackson, defensive tackle. Okay, maybe he could be something decent from what I've heard, but I can't say I'm impressed. And then everything round 6 to 7, I mean, I got nothing to add to there. So, like, this is honestly, you're being nice with a B. This is like a C plus at best. like this is straight up almost an average draft.
like I said, there are some things there, but you drafted while just bored out of your mind, and it's almost like you let the computer sim your draft for you.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Is it feels like a computer sim draft. Yeah, you filled your holes, but not with the best. I don't know. It just feels like something slightly off about everything that happened here. You got your first pick and went, okay, we're done, boys. Clock it in.
Right? You know what this reminds me of? The Patriots draft from last year.
Oh, God.
They got that cornerback at the top of the draft, And then just everything else was just like,
Phoned
okay,
it
we're
in.
done. Clock
Yeah.
it in. We're done. We're go home.
To be fair, I think they only had 4 more picks after that, anyways. But
Something
still,
like that, yeah.
they didn't have a lot of picks that year.
No, they didn't. Reminds me of another team. You know who that reminds me of? The team you're about to talk about.
I mean, we could, but the team we talked about previous to this had even less picks. Remember, they had 5.
True. That's true.
Chicago had only 5 picks.
That's true. But Chicago didn't trade everything away for a quarterback that hasn't really lived up to his potential whatsoever.
That's fair. They've only drafted quarterbacks a couple times, thinking that they're going to be the superstars after trading up several times and then ruining their own draft economy. Anyways, they tanked their franchise for almost a decade. I mean, yeah.
The trade that the Cleveland Browns made might very well do the same.
Actually, just because of how resilient the rest of the team around him is, they might survive just because of the rest of the team. I'm not shitting you.
No, I know you're not.
Just based on last year alone, you can look at the team and go, man, the rest of the team just wants to win despite the fact that they have a shitty quarterback right now. So let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, shall we? They don't have a first-round pick. You can guess why. We're not going to elaborate any further than that. Round 2, pick 54. They picked Mike Hall Jr., defensive tackle out of Ohio State, which I think is actually a pretty good pick. I mean, obviously he wasn't somebody you talked about because I didn't have, obviously, a first-round grade on him. But I think he's still a perfectly good defensive tackle at round 2. That's a little small, but good. Yeah, he's a good tackle. Round 3, pick 85, Zach Zinter, guard out of Michigan. All right. What I got to say about that. Round 5, pick 156, they got Jamari Thrash, wide receiver out of Louisville. Okay. I'm not mad about it. I don't love it. Don't hate it. It's okay. Round 6, they get pick 206, and they get Nathaniel Watson, linebacker out of Mississippi State. Round 7, pick 227, they have Miles Harden, a cornerback out of South Dakota. And then in round 7 with pick 243, they got Jawan Briggs, defensive tackle out of Cincinnati. Now I'm going to be blunt with you. As much as I talked up, Thrash and Zinter being okay, frankly, Mike Hall Jr. was probably their only good pick, and after that, they just kind of went, I don't know. It's kind of how it felt for me. So, yeah, C+. You kind of did the same thing the Bengals did, in my opinion.
See, whereas I looked at it, Zach Zinter, I think, would have gone higher. But maybe. He had a ridiculously horrible, gruesome leg injury at the end of the season that would just look nasty. But he was playing really well. So I'm not mad about that pick. They're hoping that he recovers. Yeah. Thrash, I don't know. Maybe he's a slot guy?
Yeah, pretty much.
And everything after that, I just don't care. Because Zinter should have gone higher, I think, personally, if he hadn't had that leg injury. I gave him a B-. But you and I are fairly close to thinking on the same thing. Again, kind of boring.
Just kind of boring, yeah.
Let's talk about a draft that wasn't boring and was confusing.
And also didn't have a lot of picks.
8 picks for them.
That's why I said not a lot.
Not bad.
It's a good amount.
Dallas Cowboys. In the first round, they grabbed Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle, Oklahoma.
Interesting choice.
Mm-hmm. Then they grabbed Marshawn Neeland. I like that name, Neeland. Edge from Marshall. Then they got Cooper Beebe, offensive guard, Kansas. Followed by Marist Liufau, linebacker, Notre Dame. Then they grabbed Kalen Carson, a cornerback out of Wake Forest. Ryan Flournoy, wide receiver out of Southeast Missouri State. Nathan Thomas, offensive tackle out of Louisiana Lafayette, and Justin Rogers, a defensive tackle out of Auburn. Uh, I'm going to be honest. I really don't hate what they've done. The only thing that confused me is they didn't draft a running back. I mean, obviously they did bring back Zeke. I don't think that's a
I don't like that choice,
answer.
but
I don't like that choice. But it's a choice, I guess. Tyler Guyton, I think, is going to be pretty good on their line as an offensive tackle. And the fact that Cooper Beebe slipped as far as he did for the Cowboys to grab him where they did was that was a miracle for the Cowboys because I had him rated as my top guard. I honestly think that that's a great grab for them. Nealand, I think, was an underlooked edge out of Marshall, and I think that'll help the Cowboys. It's not the problem that I have with it is it wasn't something they necessarily needed, but it was definitely something nice that they could get. Liu Fao is going to be an interesting choice, but the rest of these guys, whatever. Honestly, they did what they needed to do, and they upgraded their offensive line, which is something that they needed. So, I don't know. B? Minus? There we go. Fair.
I don't know, man. Tyler Guyton, I did not have a first-round pick on. I think they reached hardcore for that guy. There was other tackles that they could have picked at that spot that I think were better at that spot. I think that's just not a great pick at that in that position. Marshawn Nealand is a meh pick. Like, it's not underwhelming. It's not overwhelming. It's just very whelming. Like, it's a fine pick. I'm not mad about it. The Cooper Beebe pick, I do like. I do like the Cooper Beebe pick. And then everything after that, I genuinely think that they had an intern just throw a dart at a dartboard. Like, I don't know what they were doing. This is a legitimately bad draft, in my opinion, outside of Cooper Beebe, basically. And Cooper Beebe's only going to save you enough to be a D+. Like, I do not think this was a good draft at all. Like, especially with the whole, we're all in, guys. We're all in. We're all in.
I think they're all in an asylum together.
All in bed sleeping together.
All right. Why don't you talk to us about Denver?
Sure. I actually think that they did some interesting choices here. So, Denver Broncos, round 1, pick 12. They get the last QB on the board, and one that I was more highly touted on than others. Bo Nix, QB out of Oregon, and I think an excellent pick for Sean Payton for sure. Which we can talk about that if we wanted to. The whole Sean Payton shit that's been going on. That shitstorm that's been going on recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it turns out Sean Payton and Russell Wilson really didn't like each other very much.
Oh, yeah. There's, like, people are saying that Payton really, I believe the term was lowered his standards.
Yes.
With
and apparently my understanding is the Broncos cut Russell Wilson because Payton would rather pay him millions of dollars to stay the F away from his locker room.
So Pittsburgh, that's what you're getting.
That's what you're getting. So, and apparently Payton got frustrated with him to the point where apparently Russell Wilson, according to the reports, this obviously can't be substantiated, but apparently the reports is that Russell Wilson couldn't understand the playbook well enough, and the plays had to be dumbed down to 2 words for him to understand the plays. So yeah, Sean Payton wasn't very happy. So I think he's gonna be. I think Sean Payton's gonna be happy with Bo Nix. I don't know if it's gonna work out right away off the bat, year 1, obviously, but I think if there's a guy that I think Sean Payton's going to be happy working with, it's going to be probably Bo Nix. So I think that fits pretty well. Round 3, pick 76, they go Jonah Elias, edge out of Utah, which I think is, frankly, an underrated pick. I think they got good value at that pick because I think that's pretty much where you want to pick him at. But I think he's really quite good for that pick. Round 4, pick 102, you got Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Oregon. Why not? You got Bo Nix, the quarterback. Might as well get Troy Franklin, the wide receiver. Makes sense. Pair up your quarterback with a former wide receiver of his. Why not? It just makes sense to me, right? And frankly, I think Franklin's a good slot guy. I don't know if he's ever going to be anything more than that, but he's a good slot guy. Round 5, pick 145. They got Chris Abrams Drain. Is it Drain or is it Drane?
I don't know.
I'm going to say Drain. It doesn't look great, but that's what I'm going with. Cornerback out of Missouri. I unfortunately don't have anything to say about him. I haven't really watched him play, so I can't say much. Round 5, pick 147. Audric Esteem? I don't know if that's how you say his name. Running back out of Notre Dame. Big dude. Strong dude. I don't know if a big is the right thing, but definitely strong.
Jacked.
Definitely strong. Yeah, definitely strong, dude. I don't know how well he'll work out in the NFL. I would say he's more almost like a fullback than a running back, to be honest with you. But I guess we'll see how things go. That'll be, if nothing else, that might be just fun to see him try to bulldoze his way through a line of of defensive men.
Dude, that dude is jacked.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He just looks like a big, strong motherfucker.
He's like a bowling ball.
Pretty much. Round 7, pick 235. They got Devon Vell, wide receiver out of Utah, and then also in round 7, pick 256. They got Nick Gargiulo, center out of South Carolina. So I think the Broncos actually did very good. They got their quarterback. They got a good edge. They got a wide receiver to pair with their quarterback. They got another corner. They got a new cornerback. Gosh, quarterback and cornerback. Whoever named these things is a dick. Anyways, then the running back I think is an interesting, fun choice, and then the two guys in the 7th. That's kind of a toss of the coin. You never know what you're gonna get there. So I think they did a pretty good job. I'm giving this a solid B+. I'm pretty happy with what they did.
Whereas I will give it a solid A. I give this.
I thought about it. I was close.
I absolutely love the fact that they stood pat and grabbed Bo Nix out of Oregon. That absolutely fits Peyton's system. He's smart. He's intelligent. He makes the throws that Peyton's going to want him to make. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Ellis out of Utah. That's a pretty good edge. I don't hate that pick. I like it a lot. Troy Franklin. Yeah, let's go ahead. Reunite him with Bo Nix. I think that's a great grab. Abrams Drain, I think, is a pretty good freaking cornerback. Now, Estime, however you want to say his name, that dude is a jacked monster and is going to be a hell of a part, the Thunder part of a Thunder and Lightning backfield duo. Because, yeah, I mean, oh my god, those, holy crap. That's going to be fun to watch. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. I'll give it an A. Good job. Good job replacing Russ. Good job overall. The thing is, there's a lot of people that hated the Bo Nix pick, and I'm like, they needed a quarterback. What do you want them to do? Wish and into their hands?
Yeah, like, and on top of that, like, it's already proven that they tried trading up with New England to go get Drake May instead. They couldn't do it. Like, they tried trading up several times to get other quarterbacks. They couldn't do it. They got what they got. Like,
all right. Let's talk about Detroit, the host of the draft.
I guess we can do that.
The Lions. So, they jumped up in the first round and grabbed Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. Then, they would grab Ennis Rakestraw Jr., cornerback out of Missouri. They would also they would move on Giovanni Manu, offensive tackle, University of British Columbia. Sion Vaki, running back from Utah. Makai Wingo, defensive tackle, LSU. And Christian Mahogany, offensive guard, Boston College. Look, you want to talk about knowing what you need, being excited to go and draft, and then nailing your draft. This is how you nail a draft to the wall. As its host, nonetheless. I mean, they moved up and they grabbed Arnold because they definitely needed cornerbacks. Primo, great idea. I know you would have preferred for them to grab the guy that the Ravens got, but I'm not going to be mad about Arnold. That's still a really good pick. Then being able to grab Rakestra Jr., who both of us had as kind of like a floater for the bottom of the first round, maybe top of the second. Perfect. Love it. Sion Vaki, that's not a horrible grab. You don't need a running back, but that's not bad. And then I loved both Wingo and Mahogany. Like, there's no reason either of them should have slipped as far as they did. There's zero reason for that. Both of them are fantastic players. They're going to be great players for the Lions. Look, this is an A+. This is how you nail a draft. This is how you figure out what you need. And this is how you go out and you make what you want happen. The Lions absolutely nailed this draft to the wall. Nailed it. 100%. Not even mad with this one. The only pick that I kind of go, who or what, is Manu. But the rest of this was so well done that I'm not even mad about that.
I'm not sure I can agree with you on that. So let's talk about it. Terry and Arnold, I think, is a fine pick. Obviously, like we discussed, not my top pick, but it's a fine pick. I think they gave up a little more than they needed to trade up for him, but that's fine. They really saw what they wanted and they went and got him. That's fine. But then to go and get Rakestraw afterwards feels a little weird to me. Like, did you need two? Really? That badly? And I don't think they really did. I think they could have gotten something else and still got Rakestraw later, possibly. Or a different corner, to be honest with you, if they really wanted to. I just don't understand picking two back to back in that way. Manu, yeah, I don't got anything to say about him. Like, I just don't. And Vonky running back, I really, really detest this pick. We already know they don't need a running back. If they're gonna gamble on something that you might be need a little bit of, or that you're close on.
I mean, maybe
Like,
they plan to use him as a returner.
maybe. I mean, with the new return rules, it's hard to say. It's possible. It just feels weird. It just, I don't. I don't love the pick. It's just weird. And Wingo Mahogany, I do agree that I do think that they definitely slipped. I think that they're closer to probably being round fivers, probably round five, round four, somewhere around
I
that
think we got
area.
both of them in like 6 or 7.
Yeah, they're in six. I was gonna say originally I had them at like a 5-4 ish area. So I think that they're pretty decent pickups. I just don't. I don't know how well they needed them for. Like, I guess yeah, the guard for Lion makes a little sense. But I mean, it's fine. I just don't think it's an A plus. But yeah, I think it's just gonna be a B. I just don't think there's a lot of problems that I have with this draft. There's things I like about it, but there's too many question marks for me to like it. It's clear that they definitely had a plan and they definitely knew what they wanted to do. I just don't understand what they wanted to do, and so it looks weird to me. So it's gonna be a B until I can see a reason why to be wrong later.
That's fair.
But for now, it's a B.
That's fair. Okay. Talk to us about.
Oh,
Talk
they had
to
a
us
lot
about
of
the
picks too.
cheeses.
They had a lot of picks too. All right, let's talk about it. Packers, what did you guys do? Round one, pick 25. You win and got Jordan Morgan, offensive lineman out of Arizona.
Huh?
Okay, well, round two, pick 45. You got Adrian Cooper, edge out of Texas A&M. All right, well, at least you stumbled a little bit off the gate, but you finally got a good one. Then we go to round two, pick 58, and you got Javon Bullard, safety out of Georgia. Again, pretty good pick. I like that. Round 3, pick 88. You got Marshawn Lloyd, running back out of USC, and I think that's actually a really good pickup. Somebody who can sit behind or possibly even play alongside Jacobs, I think is frankly a good choice. Round 3, pick 91. You got Tyron Hooper, linebacker out of Missouri, okay. Round 4, pick 111. You got Evan Williams, safety out of Oregon. Don't think you really needed another safety after the one you picked earlier, but okay, I guess. Round 5, pick 163. You got Jacob Monk, offensive line Duke. Yeah. Round 5, pick 169. You got Katan Oladapo, safety out of Oregon State. Man, you like safeties, don't you? Round 6, pick 202. Travis Glover, offensive tackle out of Georgia State. I'm sorry, I have nothing to say about that. Pick 7, pick 245. They got Michael Pratt, QB out of Tulane, which I actually don't think is a bad pick if you understand from the perspective that he will never be a starter. He will just be a good backup, and that's what I think he will be.
Yeah. If you look at him as just a backup.
Yeah. And then with round 7, pick 255, they got Kalen King, cornerback out of Penn State. So you stumbled out the gate. Then you had a couple good picks, couple picks, and then one last gasp of actual intelligence. So I think overall, because of that, you deserve also a B.
I kind of have to disagree with you, which is why I give them a C-, because I did not like Jordan Morgan.
No, that's the big stumble out the gate.
I said, oof, reached really hard with your first pick, but loved everything you did in day 2. Your 3 picks in day 2, Cooper, Bullard, and Lloyd, magnificent. Mwah. Yep. And then you ended it off by going, we're waking up, Kalen King. And I was like, that could be a lot better than what people think he's going to be. I am not pissed off at that. I think he slipped a lot further than I thought he would. But the rest of it, that's my official opinion on it. But yeah, no, really good work in day 2, crap work in day 1, and your final hurrah was all right. So C-.
To be fair, the last 2 hurrahs were all right.
I'm not pissed at Pratt.
I think Pratt's a pretty good backup, actually.
Yeah, I think he'll be an okay backup. I'm just, That's kind of my feeling on it.
That's fair.
All right, let's talk about the Houston Texans. They did not have a first-round pick this year.
No.
Because they traded it to Minnesota before the draft.
They did.
They traded out of the first round before the draft even started, which I'm not going to dig them as hard for, because if you're going to trade out of the first round, trading out before the draft even starts is probably the most sensible thing you can do. So I'm not going to be mad about that. So they did get Kamari Lassiter, a cornerback out of Georgia. They got Blake Fisher, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. They got Kalen Bullock, a safety out of USC. They got Cade Stover, tight end, Ohio State. Jamal Hill, linebacker out of Oregon. Jawar Jordan, running back out of Louisville. Solomon Byrd, an edge out of USC. Marcus Harris, DT out of Auburn. And Ladarius Henderson, an offensive guard out of Michigan. I mean, so if you compare it to the draft from last year, this is just average. But you're not going to be able to just slaughter. You're not going to be able to slaughter a draft the way you did last year.
No.
I would have liked to have seen a little bit more initiative. I think my favorite pick is probably Cade Stover.
I was going to say, I actually really like the Cade Stover pick.
Matching an Ohio State tight end with the Ohio State quarterback. I think that'll work out well for you in the long run. Yeah. But the rest of this
not that they needed him, because they have a good tight end already.
I mean, Lassiter is okay, but I feel like you had better options there. Fisher, okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same place. I'm kind of like, like Kalen Bullock out of USC. That's actually a pretty decent safety pickup.
Yeah,
but
I like Cade Stover, but everything else,
I'm just. But then after that, it's just kind of like too hard to, like round 6, round 7 guys are so hard to properly
Exactly.
grade,
So
so it's hard to
for
really
me, this
weigh
is
them
kind of like
heavily.
a C plus. It's a you tried, but I feel like you should have done better.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the C plus territory as well. Like you got Killen Bullock and Cage Stover. Congrats. That's where you get your plus from. That's
Yeah,
the only reason you're slightly above average.
exactly. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Because yeah, I mean, we've already pretty much talked about it, but like yeah, pretty much most of their they didn't have as many picks. They've obviously traded away most of it for last draft, obviously. Um, and even what they did get out of what they had left, I mean, it was basically half half. The first two picks were meh, and then the other two picks were okay. Yeah, it was just yeah, it happened. It was a Texans draft that happened. So let's talk about the Colts draft. What do you think?
Let's do it.
All right. So with round one, pick 15, they pick Liatu Latu Edge out of UCLA, and oh my God, that is a scary thing to see on the Colts. That's going to be really, really scary. Round two, pick 52. They pick Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver out of Texas. Absolutely fantastic pick. Round three, pick 79. They pick Matt Goncalves.
Calvis.
Goncalves? Cals? Goncalves? Offensive tackle out of Pittsburgh. Round four, pick 117. They got Tanner Bortolini,
Hold on.
center out of Wisconsin.
Gonsalves.
Gonsalves?
Yep.
Okay. Round five, pick 142. They got Anthony Gold, wide receiver out of Oregon State. Round five, they got Jalen Charlies, safety out of Missouri. Round five, pick 164. They got Jalen Simpson, safety out of Auburn. Round six, pick 201. They got Micah Abraham, cornerback out of Marshall. And then round seven, pick 234. They got Jonah Lealu, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. So I am actually very happy with what the Colts have done for their team. They got Leatu Latu, a great, fantastic edge. They got Adonai Mitchell, a great wide receiver for their new-ish quarterback to throw to. They got a great offensive tackle, and Matt's not going to repeat his last name.
Gonsalves.
Yes. And then they got a new center, which I don't know if I mean I've heard the name Bortolini. I don't know if he's considered a high class center or not, but we'll see how that goes. Anthony Gold, I think, is a slightly underrated wide receiver. Probably why he ended up in round five. I think he's got good potential to be a pretty decent slot. Maybe a potential at a two spot, but I kind of doubt it. Then they took some chances on some safeties, and then some corner and a defensive tackle. Yeah, I think the Colts made some excellent choices, excellent picks. I think this is an easy A in my opinion. I think they went out, knew exactly what they wanted to get, got the couple picks that they really wanted to get, took some chances on some decent players after that. Yeah, I think I'm happy with what they did.
I give it an A. I think they did a really good job here. Latu, love Latu. Pretty much everything they drafted could potentially start at some point or another. I do want to say that I think Jalen Carlies, the safety out of Missouri, I think he's going to be better served if they move him to like outside linebacker and he
Okay.
starts there. He's decent. I just don't think that he's got the skills. He's more of a tackler than he is a fielder. So I would appreciate seeing him move over to linebacker where he can play kind of a pass understanding linebacker, but a guy who can also hit and play that outside area. But overall, pretty much anything in this draft could start at some point in time, and it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, the Colts did a good job of hitting this one. Not even mad at this. This was a solid effort by them. And by the way, yes, I do like Adonai Mitchell. I understand why teams slipped on him, but I also love that the fact that the Colts were like, how the hell are you going to come in here and bag on this kid? You don't know anything about him. You're just looking for reasons to pick him apart. Stop it. So that made me happy to see a team sticking up for a guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to talk about Jacksonville now, aren't I?
You have to talk about Jacksonville now, yes.
Alrighty. Okay, so in the first round, they grab Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU. Then they would grab Mason Smith with 2 A's, defensive tackle, LSU. Jerrion Jones, cornerback, Florida State. Javon Foster, offensive tackle, Missouri. Jordan Jefferson, defensive tackle, LSU. DeAndre Prince, cornerback, Mississippi. Keelan Robinson, running back, Texas. Cam Little, kicker, Arkansas. And Miles Cole, defensive end, Texas Tech. I don't really hate it, but I don't love it either. You did some good things. You skipped on fixing your center position, which needed fixing. You picked up a wide receiver, but I think you could have done better with the wide receiver pick. I don't think he's a bad wide receiver. I think he's just take a top off it kind of guy, and that's not the kind of guy you needed. You tried to fix your defensive tackles, but I think where you picked them, you could have had better ones. I feel like you just missed on this draft. Just a little bit here and a little bit there. You filled holes, but you didn't fill them the way you should have. So I'm giving you a C. The effort was there. You identified most of your holes. You just half filled them. That's my feeling.
Yeah, Jacksonville. I actually really do like the Brian Thomas Jr. pick. Unlike, I know that you're a little less in that book as I am, but I do like that pick. It just everything after that just has some weird like. But why though?
Yeah.
Like why that one? There were other options. Why that one? Why that player? Why that particular player? Why that one? And I think it's enough to make me question their GM, maybe their scouting department a little bit, and go, what are you guys looking at? Because now we've gone through a couple of drafts now and gone, you guys have had some weird like values on players that others aren't having, and you're not having the success that others are having either. So where's your value landing at? Why are you valuing these players in the way you are? I think something's wrong. C minus. I don't really like it that much. The one player is
right
pretty much the only thing I like.
I thought about a C minus, but there's just enough talent here for me to take the minus off. You ready to take us through the Kansas City Chiefs, my brother?
I have a bird on my face.
You do have a bird on your face. Can you talk about the Chiefs and have a bird on your face at the same time?
I think so.
All right, well, let's do it.
All right, Kansas City Chiefs. Round 1, pick 28. Move up and pick Xavier Worthy, wide receiver out of Texas. Great pickup, one of the fastest wide receivers in the draft. Well, shouldn't say one of the fastest, in fact. So, great pickup, makes sense. We'll see how that helps the Chiefs if he can catch the ball.
That's going to be the question.
Round 2, pick 63. They pick up Kingsley Suamatea? Suamatea? Offensive tackle out of BYU. They got round 4, pick 131. Jared Wiley, tight end out of TCU. Round 4, pick 133. They got Jaden Hicks, safety out of Washington State. Round 5, pick 159. They got Hunter Norzad, center out of Penn State. Round 6, pick 211. They got Kamal Hayden, cornerback out of Tennessee. And round 7, they got pick 248 with it, CJ Hansen, guard out of Holy Cross. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Chiefs didn't need a ton of stuff. And the one thing that they really did need, wide receiver, they got really early with the one really fast guy and went, there we go, we're done. Um, they did shore up some offensive tackle with Kingsley, and they did get another tight end with Jared, though I don't imagine that he's going to be catching the ball a lot. And then they did pick up a new safety in Jaden Hicks. I don't have anything else to really say about this draft. It was kind of an uninspiring draft, to be honest, outside of the Xavier Worthy pick. But I think overall they did a fine job. So B minus. There we go.
You
That's
and I
how
are
I'm
right
feeling.
around in the same category. I give him a B. Um, and the other reason I took the minus away is because I feel like they get a little bit of extra points for getting the Bills to give him the pick.
I don't know. It just feels like the Bills being the Bills.
Either way,
They give everything to the Chiefs. I mean,
well, now the Chiefs have their new version, hopefully, of the cheetah. Um,
God, it's gonna be
again,
so
provided
funny.
he can catch. I think Sua Matia will probably develop into a starter on the offensive line, and Hicks probably develops into a starter somewhere in the secondary, whether they put him at like slot corner or make him a safety. I
Yeah.
don't know, somewhere in there. I think he's going to be a starter. I think that's like overall, it's a good but uninspired draft. It's not bad, but it's not super. I'll give it a B. Give it a B. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's talk about Las Vegas.
You do get to talk about Las Vegas.
I do get to talk about Las Vegas.
Go
Las
ahead and talk
Vegas
about Las Vegas.
Raiders. They start with Brock Bowers, a tight end out of Georgia. Then they get Jackson, Powers, Johnson, center slash guard out of Oregon. Because when they announced him at the draft, you didn't listen to round two. They actually announced
No.
him as an offensive guard.
No, interesting.
DJ Glaze, an offensive tackle out of Maryland. Decamerion Richardson, quarterback, Mississippi State. Tommy Eichenberg, linebacker, Ohio State. Dylan Laub, running back, New Hampshire. Trey Taylor, safety, Air Force, and MJ Devonshire, cornerback, Pitt. I'll give this a C plus. I like Brock Bowers, but did you really need him? I mean, we've talked about the fact that you're probably going to run a two tight end set, so you're going to have Mayer and Bowers. I get that, but if you don't do that, then this just feels like superfluous. Or you don't believe in Mayer, which could be because new coach, new regime. I don't know what you see that we don't. Love JPJ.
Yes.
You didn't feed the dogs, did you?
No.
Okay.
Everything good?
Yeah.
Okay. Love JPJ. I'm a little weirded out by the fact you want to move him to guard from center. I mean, he can do it. He's done it before, but that doesn't make much sense. And everything after that is just kind of meh. I mean, it's there. I don't really know what to make out of this draft from you. Like, you started strong and then just everything kind of went downhill. Sounds like most of your seasons, to be honest.
I'm very whelmed. C plus.
That's what I just gave it to. Yeah, I'm whelmed.
I got nothing else to say to it.
Well, then why don't you talk about the Chargers?
Let's go on to the Chargers. Round 1, pick 5. They get Joe Alt, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. Fantastic pick. I don't think anyone could be mad about that one. Round 2, pick 34. They pick up Lad McConkey, wide receiver out of Georgia. Definitely a great pickup in my opinion for him. I like it. Round 3, pick 69, they get Junior Colson, linebacker out of Michigan. Eh, okay. Round 4, pick 105, Justin Ebojibi? Ebojibi? Something like that? Defensive tackle out of Alabama. Round 5, pick 137, they got Tarheeb Still, cornerback out of Maryland. Round 5, pick 140, Cam Hart, cornerback out of Notre Dame. Round 6, pick 181, Kamini Vidal, running back out of Troy. Round 7, pick 225, Brendan Rice, wide receiver out of USC. And round 7, pick 253, Cornelius Johnson, wide receiver out of Michigan. So they first went, all right, offensive tackle, check, done. Wide receiver, check. We got Lad McConkey. We're good on that one. But you know what? Let's pick up some other guys and see if they got any special magic. So they got Brandon Rice and Cornelius Johnson as well, which I think is some interesting picks. Now, everything else in between there is kind of interesting picks. I don't know how much I really care about some of these picks or how much I like some of these picks. Like Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart, I don't really have much opinions on each one of them at cornerback. I don't have an opinion on the Troy running back. I think they overall did an okay job, though, so I think I'm going to give it a B.
So again, you and I disagree. I think this was an A plus, but that's because I looked a little bit harder into some of their later drafts. Cam Hart was an absolute steal where they got him. Absolute steal. Brendan Rice is the son of Jerry Rice. I think he's going to.
Yeah, I figured that much.
Yeah, he's going to develop into a hell of a player, and I think he was an absolute steal where they grabbed him. I had him at like third or fourth. They got him in the 7th. I think that's an absolute steal. His stats don't back up a lot of what he's capable of, but if you looked at him, almost every time he caught the ball anywhere near the end zone, he was going in. He's just got a nose for it. The kid, I think he's got special talent. I just think it's going to take a little bit to bring it out. Love the Junior Colson pick because I love the idea of reuniting a Michigan player with his coach.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's a really good one. And McConkey, again, as you put it, I think he's the best route runner in the draft. And it's funny, like, he's so overlooked by people because he didn't get a lot of people talking about him. But if you looked at some of the corners, Terrion Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry, some of these other guys that played in the SEC, you'll say, did pretty good, struggled against Georgia and Lad McConkey, is often the scouting note. I think he's a much better receiver than people give him credit for, and I think he's going to turn some heads catching passes there. I like this draft. Again, I feel like this, Joe Alt, just all the protection, everything they've done, I feel like it's an A plus for them. They're killing it. I feel like they killed this draft. I know that you don't feel that way, and that you're a B until proven otherwise, and that's fine. I looked at it and I went, wow, they did a really good job.
Fair enough.
So now to talk about the other team in Los Angeles. The Los Angeles Rams. They grabbed in the first round Jared Verse, an edge out of Florida State. In round 2, they grabbed Braden Fisk, a defensive tackle from Florida State. And by the way, when they called him, they had wanted Verse to make the call to Fisk, but he got stuck in traffic. And he couldn't make it till after they had made the call already, but he's going to talk to him. But yeah, they wanted Verse to make the call and be like, hey, you ready to come play with me some more? They got Blake Corum, a running back out of Michigan. Cameron Kinchins, a safety out of Miami, whose pro day did not do him favors. Brennan Jackson, edge out of Washington State. Tyler Davis, defensive tackle from Clemson. Joshua Carty, kicker, Stanford. Jordan Whittington, a wide receiver out of Texas. Bo Limmer, center from Arkansas. And KT Leviston, a guard from Kansas State. Look, I feel like this is an A draft for the Rams. They did a really good job trying to find a way to mitigate Aaron Donald's retirement by grabbing both Verse and Fisk, who were an absolute frickin' wrecking crew at Florida State together. I think that's going to really help out. Blake Corum, you know what? He is small, but I absolutely will not doubt his heart. That dude, Michigan liked to run the ball, and Blake Corum was the recipient of a lot of runs during a national championship run. So I am not going to be mad at him. They're going to find out a way to use him, even if it's slipping him into a wide receiver role or using him as an out of the backfield pass catcher or finding a way to get him involved in special teams. They'll find a spot for a guy like that. Kinchins, I think, is a good grab. I don't think his pro day, or his, not pro day, his combine was indicative of what he's capable of. I think he's a lot more capable than what he showed. And I think he will do that in the next level. I don't really know about the rest of the guys after that, but those first four were really good to me. I think the Rams did a really good job of finding pieces that work in their system and filling holes. It's what the Rams do. You look at them last year; they didn't even have a first-round pick, and they still wound up filling holes and finding guys later down in the draft, Puka Nacua, that just ended up being really good for them. So, yeah, I'll give you an A.
I'm overall pretty pleased with what the Rams were able to do with what holes they had to fill. I think there is some questions with some picks that they had here and there in round 5 and 6 particularly.
Yeah.
But that's pretty standard, it feels like, because there is some kind of... You're kind of picking athletes at that point sometimes, and you're kind of just taking guesses a little bit. But I think overall they did a pretty good job. I think... I'm not that high on Cormer Kitchens, so I think that's going to drop me down to a B+. But I still think it's a pretty good draft.
Fair enough.
All right, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. What do you think?
Sure, if you want to.
All right, let's do it. Round 1, pick 21. They went out and got Chop Robinson, edge out of Penn State. And if you want an athletic freak, there you go. That's what they did. Round 2, pick 55. They got Patrick Paul, offensive tackle out of Houston. Pretty decent choice, I would say, overall.
Mm-hmm.
Round 4, pick 120. You got Jalen Wright, running back out of Tennessee. And I actually don't hate this pick. Like,
I don't, and it makes sense for the Dolphins because it's speed.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's just a speed boy. And it just kind of matches with the kind of offense they're building, to be honest.
I'm not mad.
So I'm not even mad about it. Like, as long as their offensive line can create just a big enough gap for Jalen Wright to speed through, there you go, have fun. Round 5, pick 158. They got Mohamed Kamara, edge out of Colorado State. I think that's actually a pretty underrated pick, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Round 6, they got pick 184 with Malik Washington, wide receiver out of Virginia. We'll see how he develops. I think that'll be interesting. Round 6, pick 198. They got Patrick McMorris, safety out of California. And round 7, pick 241. They got Taj Washington, out, wide receiver out of USC, another Washington. I think he's also another one of those players that could potentially be a better player than what it looks like he got picked at, but we'll see. He's got a lot of rawness, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Dolphins did a really good job. They went out and got some athletic, speedy freaks all over in the draft, and then you can tell that that's basically what their MO was for this draft. Get the athletes, get the speedsters. Let's have some fun, and I enjoy it. I think A+. You're getting my first A+, Miami Dolphins. I think this is a legit, pretty close to a complete draft. There is not a single pick where I went, I don't like that. Like every single pick, I went, okay, I like that pick. I like that pick. I like that pick. Even
So,
the Patrick McMorris one at round 6, the safety, I look at and go, actually could still have something there. So,
so I'll give them an A minus.
okay.
And it's because I feel like they reached for Patrick Paul out of Houston. I feel like that was a bit of a reach where they grabbed him.
They didn't have a round 3 pick, so I can understand why they did that, though.
I do too, but at the same time, yeah, a little bit of a reach for me. I also love Jalen Wright. As soon as they grabbed him, I went, well, it's quite obvious what you're after. Because that dude is
Speed.
that dude is a home run machine. If you give him
I
a
am
crease,
speed.
yes. And he's fast. And putting him and A-Chain together in a backfield, it's like watching the Flash and the Reverse Flash face off.
Pretty much.
Zoom. They're gone. Yeah, overall, not a bad draft. Kamara and Washington, I think, are severely underrated picks. I think those are going to be huge for them. And if Chop develops at all into what we think he could be, this was a well put together draft.
Mm-hmm.
Still, think you reached a little for Paul, so A minus. Meh. All right, let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
Round 1, pick 10. J.J. McCarthy, QB, Michigan. Round 1, pick 17. Dallas Turner, Edge, Alabama. Round 3, I believe?
4.
4? Kyrie Jackson, cornerback, Oregon. Then the rest I don't remember. Walter Rouse,
6.
offensive tackle, Oklahoma. Will Reichard, kicker,
6.
Alabama. And then Juergens in the
7.
next two are 7. Michael Juergens in round 7, a center out of Wake Forest, and Levy Drake Rodriguez, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M Commerce. Okay. As much as this pains me to say, this is a B. At best. Look, after day 1, it was an A. JJ in Dallas, I was ecstatic. That was magnificent. That was well done. I was happy with you. Kyrie Jackson, okay, I'm okay with that. That's a decent pick. I'll take that. He's tall. He's got good mobility. It feels like somebody that Flores is going to enjoy, getting into. You know what I mean? It feels like a Flores guy. But Rouse? Really? You're going to go with an offensive tackle? You need a guard and a center, not a tackle. Unless you're planning to move him into guard, that's just dumb.
I think that's what they're going to do, actually.
I don't like it, though. There were better options. Reichard, I'm okay with Reichard. Reichard is obviously the best kicker in the draft, kicked for Alabama. Watching some tape on him, we needed a new kicker because our kicker left. Okay, fine. Reichard, I get it. But Juergens? We need a center. That ain't it. Maybe they kick him out to guard too. But I really feel like you could have gone with Christian Mahogany, and I think that would have been a much better pick. And Levy Drake Rodriguez, I was like, nah. You missed on a couple of things at the bottom of the draft where you could have had some value, and you just screwed the pooch, in my opinion. So I understand you did give away a lot of picks to move up twice. So that's why I'm not penalizing you more. But yeah, you're a B. This is a B overall to me. You definitely put in the effort in the first round. And Jackson wasn't bad, but everything after that, Reichard was the best out of that bunch, and everything else just kind of left me whelmed. So I'll give you a B.
Well, I disagree with you, but that's okay. I'm going with an A minus.
We're not that far off.
I think McCarthy's a great pick. Well, hopefully a great pick, anyways. I think for what we're looking for, it's a good pick.
Yes.
I think Dallas Turner is a great edge to pick up at this spot. Kyrie Jackson's a pretty good cornerback. Not my favorite, but around 4, this is a pretty decent spot for him. Walter Rouse. At first, I thought this was a bad pick until I realized a couple things. So the one thing that I've realized and has become very, very obvious with Kevin O'Connell and his offensive line is that he likes picking up offensive linemen that can play both tackle and guard so that he can shift people around all the fucking time. And so I actually don't think this pick is actually that bad. I do agree that I think that there's definitely was better options at this spot. But I don't think this is actually a bad pick. I think it's just an okay pick. Will Reichard, I think, is actually a pretty good pick. We did need a new kicker. Michael Jurgens, not my favorite center. Not even close to my favorite center. So if he gets kicked out to guard, I'd be happy with that. And then I'm Drake Rodriguez. I got nothing nice to say about that. So we'll continue and pretend that that didn't happen.
The only good thing I have to say about Drake Rodriguez was when he got the call, he was super excited.
Well, I'm sure he was probably thinking that I'm not even going to get drafted. So.
Oh, he was super excited. He let out a huge "Let's go!" Like there was cheering, and I thought I heard.
Look,
champagne.
guys, I got drafted. Hell yeah!
So like he was excited at least.
Oh yeah. I just don't know if he's going to be. I'd be shocked if he ends up becoming a starter. Like, is it possible? Impossible? No, but.
I think he's going to
be. He has a lot of development to get there if he's going to.
Special teamer is what I think.
Probably, yeah.
All right, talk to us about New England.
So New England did some interesting things. So let's talk about it. So right off the bat, New England, round 1, pick 3, Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina. Excellent choice. Don't think anyone will disagree with that. I think everyone went, that's what you needed to do. Good job. Then they went to round 2, pick 37, and went Jalen Polk, wide receiver out of Washington. And I went, excuse you, what the fuck? Don't get me wrong. I don't think Polk is a bad wide receiver. I think there were definitely better wide receivers at this spot still, though. So, why Polk? I don't know. But fair enough. Round 3, pick 68, we got Caden Wallace, offensive tackle out of Penn State. That's fine. That's actually a fair pick. I'm okay with that. They then did another good pick at round 4, pick 103, Layden Robinson, guard out of Texas A&M. I'm totally okay with that. I'm actually totally okay with that. And surprisingly enough, round 4, pick 110, Javon Baker, wide receiver out of UCF. I actually like this wide receiver better than your last wide receiver. And then round 6, pick 180, Marcellus Dial, cornerback out of South Carolina. I can't really say much about him. I didn't get much to watch on him, so I don't know his talent level. Round 6, pick 198, Joe Milton, quarterback out of Tennessee. I actually don't hate this choice. I assume this is mostly just for a backup position more than anything else. I don't think this is.
Got a cannon, man.
Okay, so maybe potential development opportunities. Okay, fair enough. And then round 7, pick 231, they got Jaheim Bell, tight end out of Florida State. So, frankly, overall, I think the Patriots did a really good job. I think they filled most of the holes they needed. I think they picked up some wide receivers. A. This is actually an A. I like it. This is an A.
I'm in the A category, but I'm going to give it a minus on there.
Okay.
If only because Jalen Polk was a bit of a reach.
I'm
not going to say that he was bad. He's not a bad wide receiver.
No, he's not bad.
I feel like where you got him, you could have done better. But he's still not bad. The only 2 picks that I really don't like are Dial and Robinson. They're the ones that make the least amount of sense.
I can understand that.
I
actually don't mind Robinson, but I can definitely agree with the Dial. I can understand why you did.
I like Baker a lot more than I like Polk, but overall, I think this is a decent draft for you. You've got your quarterback, you've got your backup with developmental who could maybe become a quarterback for someone else, which means draft picks for you. A minus. Let's see if you can mold it on the field now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints. Yeah. Okay, so in the first round, they grabbed Talis Fuaga, offensive tackle, Oregon State. Then they would get Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback, Alabama. Then Spencer Rattler, quarterback, South Carolina. Bub Means, by the way, great name. Bub. Wide receiver out of Pitt. They'd get Jalen Ford, linebacker out of Texas. Christina Boyd, defensive tackle out of, or Christian Boyd, pardon.
Christian Boyd, yeah.
Yeah, Christian Boyd, DT Northern Iowa, and Josiah Ezrim, offensive tackle, Eastern Kentucky. I'll give it a B, and I'll tell you why. I absolutely love the beginning of this draft. The first 3 picks were really well done. Fuaga is going to make an immediate impact on their O-line. I think that was well done by them because he can play either tackle or guard. I'm really happy with what I saw from Fuaga. That's a good pick for them. McKinstry, Kool-Aid immediately becomes the drink of choice now to mix with your alcohol and NOLA. Well done. Well done. They're pretty happy to get him, I think. I even like Spencer Rattler, who, given some development time, could be the heir apparent to Derek Carr. I think that's a good pick for them. Everything after that except Christian Boyd was kind of a disappointment. Bub Means is a great name, but he's not a great receiver. Ford is a little bit of a disappointment. Boyd should be all right for where they got him. I think that's an okay pick. And Ezra, I'm just like, okay, whatever. That feels like a kind of, just pick for me kind of a pick. So, yeah, I'll give you a B. You did well where it counted.
I think I'm gonna go with a B plus. I actually like Ford a little bit more than you, and that's probably the only reason. Because, like,
Fair enough.
honestly, Spencer Rattler surprised me a little bit because I've seen some recent interviews with him, and I'm like, wow, he's actually very mature now. Like, especially in comparison to the past, like he's incredibly mature now. It's clear that he just wants to play. He's ready to just get ready to the grind, put his nose to the grindstone. I think that there's no question that he appears to be the current heir apparent behind Carr. I would say within the next 2 to 3 years, in fact,
Yep,
probably.
I agree with you.
And I think based upon at least his current attitude and the way that I've seen him act recently and everything, I would say that there's no question that he'll take over. Now, whether he'll be actually good enough to stay there long term, I don't know.
We'll see.
If he's gonna, or if he'll just end up being like a bridge QB where he's just good enough to be a starter for a year or two, and that's about it. Like, there are just some QBs like that we obviously all know. We can all think of a couple off our tops of our heads, I'm sure. But I'm very curious to see what he does. Because I think there's a lot more talent there that still needs to be unlocked, and I think he's definitely humbled enough to do so, I think. So I'm very curious to see what happens with that. So yeah, overall, I'm happy with the Saints at B+. So let's talk about the Giants, shall we?
Yeah, let's talk about them Giants. How about them
Giants? The Giants did not do what a lot of people were hoping that they would do. They did not select a quarterback. Instead, at round 1, pick 6, they pick Malik Neighbors, wide receiver out of LSU. It is a fantastic pick. I am concerned, obviously, with the Giants, but I have heard some interesting rumors that might make this a better pick than normal. And the rumors currently are that they are very unhappy with Danny Dimes, and there's obviously, if you don't know, the Giants are not going to be playing Danny Dimes at the beginning of the season due to his injury, so they'll be playing Drew Lock instead. And the current rumors is if Drew Lock plays well, he will continue to start despite Danny Dimes being uninjured. So this is more to me a reading of we're giving Malik Neighbors to Drew Lock, not to Danny Dimes.
I agree.
So that makes this a very interesting pick if you look at it from that perspective. Round 2, pick 47, they picked up Tyler Nubin, safety out of Minnesota. And man, am I pissed because I kind of wanted him for myself, but I knew that we didn't. Didn't stand a chance of getting them.
Oh yeah, no.
Round 3, pick 70. Audrew Phillips, cornerback out of Kentucky. Round 4, pick 107. Theo Johnson, tight end out of Penn State. I think actually a pretty underrated tight end, to be honest. Round 5, pick 166. Tyrone Tracy Jr., running back out of Purdue. And round 6, pick 183. Darius Muasawa? I have no idea how to say your name. I'm sorry. Linebacker out of UCLA. I think the Giants did fine. They didn't have a lot of picks. They only had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 picks?
6 picks?
They had 6 picks, but I think that they had 3 to 4 pretty good picks. They had 2 that were a little bit more on the questionable side at the end there, 5 and 6. I'm not super in on Tyrone Tracy Jr. or Darius. But I think Theo Johnson is an interesting tight end pick. I think Andrew Phillips is a decent corner. And then obviously Malik Nabers and Tyler Nubin, I think, were the big pickups for them. So I think overall I'm going to go with A-, only because you had 2 bad picks at the end, and when you only have 6 picks, I kind of would like you to hit a little bit more.
I disagree a little bit. I give them an A because I looked a little more into Tracy Jr. and I kind of like. He's not great, but I feel like there's a potential to develop into something for him if he can put his talent to use. Absolutely love Nabers and Nubin. Andrew Phillips, I think, is very underrated from Kentucky. I think he'll make an impact in the secondary almost right away. Theo Johnson, that's a pretty good tight end, especially if you're looking to spell Darren Waller on occasion. I mean, this is not bad. And again, I think you're right. It sounds more and more like the Giants are falling in love with Drew Lock, whom we all thought had some potential. It's just taken him so long to get it. But you know what? That happens sometimes. Sometimes it takes a little while for a dude to develop, and he's got to go to a couple of different teams. You know what I mean? So
exactly,
I'll give the Giants an A on this. They did a good job. And I think the other thing is, I think a lot of us got trapped into thinking they needed to draft a quarterback to move off of dimes, which they looked at what they had in Locke and went, nah, I think we're good. And judging from the bits that we saw from Locke last year, I don't disagree.
Yeah. I'll actually agree with that.
All right, let's talk about the other team in New York, shall we?
Sure, why not?
The
Go ahead.
Jets, Jets.
Maybe they'll actually finally be good.
Maybe. Let's talk about the draft, though, because their first pick, I'm not going to say his full first name. I just used his nickname. Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle, Penn State at number 11. That's decent. Then they would grab Malachi Corley, a wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. By the way,
not bad pick.
If you haven't heard, Aaron Rodgers has invited him to live with him so that they can go over the playbook and run routes together.
Yep.
I like that. That's good. I think that's good for him.
Yep.
Braylon Allen, running back out of Wisconsin. I think that's a lot better than people think it is.
I actually do think that's a pretty good pick.
Then they grab Jordan Travis, quarterback out of Florida State.
That's a weird one to me.
That's weird, but if you look at it from sitting him for a couple of seasons behind...
No, I agree with that part. I find it weird because he's not somebody that I even had touted as somebody you'd want to have
I
sit
agree,
behind
but
somebody.
Apparently they...
Like, he's not like a Spencer Rattler. If it was Spencer Rattler there instead, I'd be like, oh my God, yes, please.
But I think there's something there, and obviously they see something in him.
If they see something there, I don't necessarily see something there, but they obviously
It's
do,
also possible that they talked with Aaron and said, which one of these guys would you like to mentor? And that's the one he picked out.
That's possible. But I don't know. I kind of doubt that, though, to be fair.
Isaiah Davis, running back from South Dakota State. Quantez Stiggers.
Damn, that's a name.
I don't even know where he came from, but he's a cornerback.
Toronto,
okay. International portal.
Yep.
And Jalen Key, safety, Alabama. I think Stiggers is also one of those guys that you're like, I think he's way better than people think he is.
I don't know. I haven't, obviously, being that he is international, I have not seen anything on him, so I have no idea. The only
bits that I've been able to catch is people are saying that's a really good pick. Yeah. Look, this is an A-. I I think it's a great draft. I think if you wanted a quarterback to sit behind, your starter, I think you could have done better than Jordan Travis. Obviously, I don't think Rattler was there anymore when they grabbed him.
I don't think
But
so.
I think there were still better quarterbacks that you could have gotten there.
150. Yeah, he was gone by then.
Yeah, I thought so.
He was gone at 150, so he was gone 20 picks ahead. So he was gone at the beginning of round 5, where they got Travis at the end of round 5.
Yeah. I really like Braylon Allen. I think he's going to be a really good Thunder part of a Lightning and Thunder duo with Hall. I think that's going to be really, really good for them. Fashanu's going to bring some presence to an O-line that really needs it, and Corley is going to be a very good wide receiver for them, and the fact that he's already working with Rodgers bodes very well. This is an A- draft. I think they did incredibly well with this.
So I slightly disagree. I think this is actually an A. I would give it an A+ if I knew anything about Quantez Stiggers. Like, honestly, if I knew that he'd be even just kind of pretty decently good, I would probably give this an A+. Because this is a really, really, frankly, good draft. The only one I don't really know much about is Stiggers, and even Jalen Key I know a little bit about to know that, like, that's actually not a bad pick at round 7 for somebody who potentially has some skills due to his athleticism.
Jordan Travis and Isaiah Davis, where I went, you could have done something else there.
Yeah, you could have done a little better there in those spots for sure. But I think overall this is a pretty dang good draft.
All right, well, talk to us about them boys.
I don't want to.
You want me to talk about Philly?
No, I'll talk about Philly. I just don't want to. Round 1, pick 22. They get the steal of the draft. Quinion Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo, drops to him at pick 22, which is absolutely insane. Round 2, pick 40. Guess who also drops to him? Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa. What the absolute fuck is this? Round 3, pick 94. They got Jalex Hunt, edge out of Houston Christian. Don't know much about him, to be honest with you. Round 4, pick 127. They got Will Shipley, running back out of Clemson, which is actually not a bad choice.
Not at all, especially not where they got him.
Round 5, pick 152. They got Ainias Smith, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Don't have a lot to say about that pick. Just an okay pick. Round 5, pick 155. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., linebacker out of Clemson. Now, that is actually a pretty damn good pick at round 5.
That's a steal right there.
Yeah, that's a really damn good pick at round 5. Round 5, pick 172. They got Trevor Keegan, guard out of Michigan. Round 6, pick 185. Johnny Wilson, wide receiver out of Florida State. I think that's a pretty decent pick. And then round 6, pick 190. Dylan McMahon, center out of NC State. Yeah. How do the Eagles keep getting away with it, dude? I can't believe we allowed them to get away with this. So the Eagles are probably, you know what? I don't like all of their picks, but I like most of their picks. So I'm giving it a B+. I think they got some pretty good steals out of Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I don't have enough information on Jalex Hunt to really say much about him. I do like the Will Shipley pick. Ainias Smith is just okay. I like Jeremiah Trotter quite a bit. Trevor Keegan, I don't have much information on. Johnny Wilson is okay, and Dylan McMahon is also just okay. So I think B+. You could maybe convince me to go to him an A-, but it's like right around in that area, A-, B+ territory.
Say, and I think you're letting the fact that it's the Eagles taint you, because I know how you feel about the Eagles. So I think this was an A+. I mean,
I still don't think it would have been an A+ personally, but that's just me.
I mean, when you grab the best corner in the draft and then the great corner safety combo, Jalex Hunt is actually a lot better than people think he is. There's a reason he was drafted that high. He really is a menace coming off the edge. I do like the Shipley pick. Again, I think you're right with Smith. Yeah, okay, that's not horrible. But they really didn't need much there. But getting a legacy player, and not only a legacy player that played for your team, and was a big guy for your team as late as they got Trotter Jr., I think they were just amazed he was still sitting there when they grabbed him. Keegan, I don't have a whole lot on. Johnny Wilson, okay, not horrible. And McMahon, okay, not horrible. But I mean, really, what are you expecting to get that late? So that's why I think this is an A plus. I think they nailed it. Great secondary pieces. They just automatically fixed their secondary with what they did. And then, Trotter Jr. Again, he's got some issues. As we mentioned, talking about it before, in our run up to the draft. But I think him going to the Eagles is just, there's something there that I like. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to talk about the other team over there. Let's talk about Pittsburgh. I'm not sure how to feel about Pittsburgh, to be honest. But let's talk about it. They grabbed Troy Fuatanu, an offensive tackle out of Washington. They got Zach Frazier, center out of West Virginia. They did get Roman Wilson, a wide receiver out of Michigan. They got Peyton Wilson, a linebacker from NC State. Then they got Mason McCormick, a guard out of South Dakota State. Then they grabbed Logan Lee, a defensive tackle out of Iowa. And Ryan Watts, a cornerback from Texas. I feel like this is a B minus, maybe even a C plus, somewhere in that area. Look, great. You addressed your offensive line again with Futanu. I like that. That was good. You addressed your center with Zach Frazier. That was good. But then Roman Wilson, okay, I guess. Peyton Wilson. I like Peyton Wilson. He's a tackling machine. He's a Steeler mentality. Okay, that fits, but still, okay. McCormick, South Dakota State. Okay. Don't have a lot of information on him. Logan Lee, defensive tackle out of Iowa. Okay. I mean, look, I think they waited entirely too long to address the issue on their D-line, and they got a good but not great wide receiver when they were better available when they picked. Like I said, B minus C plus area. I'm not overwhelmed. Like I said, they started good. Futanu and Frazier, I like both of that. But after that, I'm kind of like, okay. Wilson is good, but can he stay healthy? But I think he's got a Steelers mentality, so it feels like a Steelers pick. And I think you and I even mentioned that at one point. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm going to go more towards a B territory. I do actually like Roman Wilson, I think, a little bit more than you do. I do like the Peyton Wilson pick. Mason McCormick is okay, and then, Logan Lee and Ryan Watts, I got nothing to say about, but I love Troy Fuatanu. I love Zach Frazier. I think the Roman Wilson pick is okay, and I really like the Peyton Wilson pick, so I think B is where I'm going to sit at.
Alrighty. Talk to us about
So, let's talk about
San
Francisco. So, let's talk right off the bat. Round 1, pick 31, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver out of Florida. And you and I absolutely thought this was a really bad pick when we first saw it. And I looked more into it, and I realized it's still not a great pick. But it's a pick that, for the 49ers, isn't necessarily bad for them, if that makes sense.
It does. I still don't like it, but
with the way they play, they can fit him into their system pretty easily and fit him in slot very nicely. I still don't like the choice, but this was definitely a pick of player in position, or picking a player that fits our play style versus picking the best player for that position, kind of thing. Which is, to be fair, kind of a Kyle Shanahan thing to do in the first place, so I guess this kind of makes sense. I still don't like the pick, but he's not a bad wide receiver at all. Round 2, pick 64, getting back on track, Renardo Green, cornerback out of Florida State. Not a bad pick. Not a great corner, but it's certainly a serviceable corner. Round 3, pick 86, Dominic Pooney, guard out of Kansas. Okay, I like that. I do like that pick. Round 4, pick 124, Malik Mustafa. Mustafa? Is that right? Mustafa?
Mustafa.
I think so. I'm going with that. Safety out of Wake Forest. Okay. I mean, fair enough. Round 4, pick 129. Isaac Garando, running back out of Louisville. Not my favorite choice, but okay. Round 4, pick 135. Jacob Cowing, wide receiver out of Arizona. All right, 49ers, you're starting to lose me here. Come on, let's bring it back on track now. Round 6, pick 215, sorry. Jarrett Kingston, guard out of USC. Oh, God, they're really starting to lose the train. Round 7, pick 251, Tantum Bethune, linebacker out of Florida State, and they have crashed.
They jumped
49ers start
track.
off. Yeah, they derailed. 49ers start off pretty strong, I think. I think Ricky Pearsall's not a bad pick, not a great pick. But then Renardo Green was pretty decent. Dominic Pooney was okay. And then they just... Then also there's Malik Mustafa. Okay. Isaac Garando. Jacob Cowing. 49ers, you're getting a C- from me. And that's being generous. Pretty much. I'm giving you a C-. That's generous, to be honest. Like, I'm slightly underwhelmed. You had some good picks there, and then you did a lot of... I don't know what.
I also gave them a C- because I don't know what to make of this draft.
Yeah.
What is this? Like, Purcell's not a bad receiver, but he's
No.
not a first rounder. You could have
No.
stayed exactly where you were and gotten him at round 2.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody else wanted him. You could have done so much better. And instead of having to grab Bernardo Green where you got him, maybe you get, I don't know, you're looking at a cornerback, right? How about Cooper DeJean?
He was available at 31.
He was right there. I like Dominic Pooney, and he's okay. And Mustafa and Garendo are at least interesting. Everything else is just kind of blah. Like, this is a blah draft for you, Shanny. What are you doing?
This was a very blah draft.
This was a very blah draft. C-. Get this out of here. Try again next year. All right, I'm going to move up the coast a little bit, and I'm going to talk about Seattle.
Let's do it.
So, with their first round pick, they grabbed Byron Murphy II, defensive tackle out of Texas.
I like
Full
it.
marks. I like it.
I like
it
it.
a lot. Christian Haynes, guard out of UConn.
I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
Tyrese Knight, linebacker out of UTEP.
I like it.
I don't mind it. That's all right. AJ Barner, tight end out of Michigan. I don't mind that one so much either. Nehemiah Pritchett, cornerback out of Auburn. I like it.
I actually like that. Yeah.
I like that one a lot. Satoa Laumea, guard, Utah. Why does Utah always have the Samoans?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it used to be Hawaii, so...
Yeah, but now it's Utah has all the Samoans. I don't mind that. It's not horrible. DJ James, DJ James. Cornerback, Auburn. I like it.
Yep.
And Michael Jarrell, OT out of Findlay. Look, I think this is an A. It verges. You could talk me into an A+ for it.
Well, that's funny because it's an A+, so...
I mean, you could talk me into that. I'm not mad.
It is an A+. It just is.
Byron Murphy, great grab for them.
Byron Murphy. Christian Haynes is easily the best guard in the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so, like, the
one of
fact that
them,
they
at
still
least.
picked him
Cooper
at
Beebe or
Ryan's
Christian
round
Haynes.
fucking 3. Jesus Christ.
Tyrese Knight.
Knight. Oh, my.
absolutely
Again,
great.
one of the better
And then
linebackers. Like, I
Pritchett
just...
James for your secondary. You don't even need a secondary. That's just
No,
like
you don't.
superfluous at this point. But
That's
they're
just for
great
candy.
grabs.
Yeah.
I'm not even mad.
This is going to be a nasty defense to play against.
Yes, this is a well done draft. Very
This
good.
is back to the times of Legion of Boom days. Like, this
Oh,
is going to
God.
be disgusting.
People are not going to be happy playing against Byron Murphy.
No.
No.
Christian Haynes and Byron Murphy, are you joking? Come on.
Oh, well done, Seahawks.
Then you got Tyrese Knight with them? Jesus.
Yeah, well done, guys. Well done. Let's go over to the other coast, shall we?
All right, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Round 1, pick 26. They get Graham Barton, offensive lineman out of Duke. And I was very whelmed with this pick because it was neither pretty nor sexy. But I guess it does fill a need. So, I guess.
I had them as the 4th best center on the board.
Yeah, I know. Listen. We're moving on. Round 2, pick 57. They get Chris Braswell, edge out of Alabama. I actually like this pick. I think Chris Braswell is actually a pretty good edge. Round 3, pick 89. Tyke Smith, safety out of Georgia. Okay, fair enough. Round 3, pick 92. Jalen McMillan, wide receiver out of Washington. I don't mind that pick. Bucky Irving. Oh, sorry. Round 4, pick 125. Bucky Irving, running back out of Oregon. Round 6, pick 220. Elijah Klein, guard out of Texas, El Paso. And then round 7, pick 246. Devin Culp, tight end out of Washington. Graham Barton was a bit of a reach. Chris Braswell is pretty decent. I don't really have much to say about Tyke Smith. I think Jalen McMillan's okay. I don't really like the Bucky Irving pick. I'm going with a C+.
I'm right around the same area. I gave them a B-. Like I said, I had Graham Barton as the 4th best of the centers. Maybe he interviewed really well. To this day, I don't understand what caused him to shoot up boards.
I mean, they have him listed on as offensive line, so maybe they're moving him from center to guard or something.
That would make sense then. I wouldn't be mad at that. That would make some sense to me. I really do like the tidy work with Braswell. That's good work for them. Tyke Smith is okay, I guess. And I'm not as low. I think the reason I gave them a B- is I'm not as low on the Bucky Irving pick as you. That's okay for them. And he'll be a decent running backup, kind of change of pace guy for them, I think. Anything else you want to say about Bucks?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to move over to Tennessee now.
Good idea.
Yeah, it is a good idea. So we're going to talk about the Titans. And they grabbed J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama.
Okay.
Then they grabbed Tavondre Sweat, defensive tackle out of Texas. Cedric Gray, linebacker out of North Carolina. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., cornerback out of Louisville. Jaquan Jackson, a wide receiver out of Tulane. James Williams, a safety out of Miami. And Jalen Harrell, an edge out of Michigan. I like Latham. I think it's a day 1 starter for them, whether they start him at tackle or guard. Either way, I think he's a day 1 starter. I don't think Sweat's going to be an every down player. But 3rd and short, 4th and short, 3rd and goal, he's going to be in there plugging up the middle because that's a massive mountain of a human being. Unless he works on his conditioning, in which case, good job. I think Gray and Brownlee Jr. aren't going to be immediate starters, but I do believe that they pay dividends further down the road. I think if you give them a little bit of time to develop, I think they'll both be starters. Everything after that, I'm just, okay, whatever on. So it's a B+. I think you only had 7 picks. I think you did pretty decent on 4 of them. I'll give you a B+ for that.
Yeah, I'm sitting a little lower. I'm sitting at a B. I don't have as much of a high grade on Cedric Gray or Brownlee Jr. personally, but I really do like Latham and Sweat, so B.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, do you want to talk about our last team?
We'll talk about the last team, the Washington Commanders. Let's see what they did. I just shouted away. Round 1, pick 2. They get Jaden Daniels, quarterback out of LSU. Pretty good pick, I would say. Round 2, pick 36. They get Johnny Newton, defensive tackle out of Illinois. God damn, that's going to be nasty. Round 2, pick 50. They get Mike Sanristil. Sanristil? Cornerback out of Michigan. Sanristil? quarterback out of Michigan. Round 2, pick 53. Only 3 picks later, they got Ben Sino, tight end out of Kansas State. Round 3, pick 67. They got Brandon Coleman and Gord out of TCU, which I actually think is a pretty good pick.
That's a great pick.
Round 3, pick 100. Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver out of Rice. Round 5, pick 139. Jordan Magee, linebacker out of Temple. Round 5, pick 161. Dominic Hampton, safety out of Washington. And round 7, pick 222. Javante Jean Baptiste, edge, Notre Dame. I think this is a very interesting draft. I think it's a fun draft. I think there is some gamble picks here for sure that could pay off in the long run for sure.
LMC.
I think Luke is one of them actually.
Yes, but
that is definitely a gamble.
there's a lot of potential there.
But you never know. Never know. I think I'm gonna give him a B plus. I was thinking A- territory originally, but I'm not big on Mike Sandersill or Ben Sino on their round 2 picks, which is funny because I like their round 3 picks, and I even don't mind their round 5 pick, but I just don't like their round 2 picks that much. Except for Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton was a great round 2 pick. But the other two, I'm not as big of a fan of, and I think that's the only reason I'm dropping out of the A territory.
See, and I think that both Sandersill and Sano are going to be actually pretty damn good as they develop.
No, I think they're good. I just don't like them at round 2.
Well, that makes sense, but
yeah.
I don't mind them at all there. I love Jason Newton at round 2. This is an A to me. Probably also because while LMC is a question mark, kind of a, maybe there's something there, I like it because I'm a sucker for a guy that's like that.
I was gonna say you for whatever reason are super into the generational players for some reason.
I like
you
it.
are.
I like it.
You
I
love
don't know
seeing
why.
that shit.
I have a thing about generational players because there's a part of me that wants to see, both Luke and Christian play on the same team together.
Yeah.
There's like a part of me that's like, oh, that would be fun. I like generational players.
Even though the odds are unlikely that's gonna happen.
Oh, absolutely. But I like generational players. I like to see sons of talent or grandsons.
Sons, families, brothers, yeah.
I like to see that kind of thing. It makes me kind of happy.
I mean, the Mannings, for God's sake.
I don't know if you've heard about that.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like he's coming.
Well, there's a hell of
sounds like he might be... Oh, yeah, if you're talking about...
Arch,
yeah, it sounds like... From what I've heard, it sounds like he could start, but they're not going to. And he could transfer out, but is deciding not to.
Yeah, I'm 100% there. He's so there's a lot of people at Texas UT that want him to start over the guy who started last year, who could be a top pick this year if he does well. I can't remember what his name is.
I don't remember either.
But he was considered to be maybe a second or third rounder, I think, this year. Somebody, okay, not bad. Arch took apart he looked great in drills in white on orange. And people are like, why aren't you starting him? It's because this other guy's a senior and he deserves his last year.
He deserves the shot to try to make his shot,
yeah. Make his shot, see what he can do. Arch has still got a couple of years. So I don't think
I was going to say, wasn't he redshirted? So
he was redshirted.
Yeah.
So
he still has a full 3 years after this one.
Yeah. And I think he's good. I don't even know that he's going to need all 3, maybe 2. And
probably only 2. Yeah,
he'll be good. He'll be good and gone. He'll be a top pick, obviously, no question in my mind. Anyway,
if JJ doesn't work out,
if JJ sucks,
it could happen.
Injured.
You never know.
No, I think JJ will be fine. McCarthy will be.
No, yeah.
I think McCarthy will be fine for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I feel like if the Giants can somehow manage to survive until then, they might be going, let's get another Manning back in our crew.
I could see it.
I could definitely see it. I can definitely see it.
I feel like if Bo Nix doesn't work out in Denver, that they could be thinking the same thing.
They could do the same thing. I was originally thinking Colts, but with Richardson, I don't think that's gonna be
I
a
don't
problem
think so.
unless it's a big injury. Like
Yeah. I don't.
it'd
think
have to be
it's gonna happen.
career-ending kind of thing.
And maybe the Panthers will continue to suck and give up on Bryce Young.
I guess that's possible, but like if that happens, I would just be like, don't draft me, don't fucking draft me.
I have no desire to come and play for you. Fuck off.
I have zero desire to play for you. Do not draft me.
Well, by that point, Seattle should still have a good defense, but they may have an opening at quarterback.
Oh, that's possible, yeah.
Yeah, and they might make that, trade a couple of things away to move up.
Patriots. Drake May doesn't work out.
I mean, you're making a big assumption there.
That's true.
You're making a huge assumption.
That's a big assumption. Tampa, if for some reason Baker has a down year or two in a row.
Yeah. Or Tennessee if the Mayo man doesn't work out.
It's kind of an assumption at this point, though. It's a bit of an assumption at this point.
So there's
Maybe,
some interesting
though.
things.
For some reason, Jordan Love regresses.
No, don't even put that evil into the world. Don't put that evil into the world, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't you
do
evil
that
on me.
I fucking love that movie.
Who doesn't love that movie?
Oh, God.
Sacha
yeah.
Baron Cohen in that movie was just ridiculous.
Ooh, the Rams. Because we know Stafford is obviously
That
going to
would
have to come
also
and
be-
retire
that would-
eventually.
That would be interesting.
And 2 years from now, 2 to 3 years, that might be the right time for
Or
it.
the Raiders.
If they haven't figured out a solution by then, yeah.
Yeah, if they haven't figured out a solution by then, yeah. That would also be interesting. All right.
Dallas,
If they let
if they let Dak finally walk.
If they let Dak walk, they could have a year where they absolutely suck
And
to
then
try
go
to
grab.
get Arch Manning.
Yeah,
I could see Dallas doing it.
I could.
It's a Jones thing to do. Give me a
It is a
quarterback.
Jones thing to do. Yep, give me a quarterback.
All right. You got anything else?
Nope, I think we had our fun time speculating about Arch Manning.
I think we did. All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming and watching us here. We enjoyed you. I don't know when we'll be back again. We may take a little bit of time off. Sporadic episodes here and there. You'll probably see us fire back up right around probably just before the preseason starts.
We already did the redraft, didn't we?
Yeah, we already did the redraft. And last year we tried to stretch doing quizzes and weird things. I don't know if we want to try that again.
I mean, if we find something fun to do or something interesting to talk about, we can. But
We might.
we'll have to come up with maybe a couple of different ideas and put it all into one video, kind of thing.
Yeah, and we might do post NHL Stanley Cup Finals. We might talk about that. That
Oh
might be
yeah.
something.
Or I mean, what? And I assume that it's gonna be updates with the whole basketball Timberwolves situation.
Yeah, and so we might
I'll have to talk
there
about
might
that too
actually
some.
be an NBA Finals, NHL Finals video that we coalesce into a single thing.
Yeah.
And then we might also have a video where we talk about the NHL draft, because that's in 50-ish days. And the wife and I are planning to watch at least the first round.
Gotcha.
So
Fair enough.
I know you're not as big into that as I am.
Yeah, you're more into that draft side than I am.
Yeah, I'll probably watch that with my wife. I'm interested in it if nothing else because I like hockey.
I get it.
We already know that Macklin Celebrini is basically the first pick. What's going to be interesting is to see where everybody else kind of layers out.
Picks, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we will talk to everybody later. We hope that you had a good week. We hope that you have a great one. We'll be back when we're back. In the meantime, tell y'all, whatever you want to accomplish, put your mind to it, keep doing. Remember to be awesome. Stay bearded.